Colorado beer lovers, and welcome to the first ever virtual beer fest hosted here by Beer Fight Club. Thank you so much for being a part of this event and being a part of Colorado craft beer history. This is a great way, and I'm so happy to see so many people have come out to support independent Colorado craft breweries because they need us now more than ever, and you're making a difference here tonight. Over the next 2 hours, you're going to taste some of the best beer I could get my hands on from these amazing breweries. You'll hear interviews from the breweries about the beer you're going to drink in the pack. You're going to hear stories about how they got started, what they're currently going through, and what else you can do to help them. Later on, you're going to hear a song from an amazing band that's born right here in Denver, Insomniac Drives. I have to tell you, I was blown away when I heard these guys for the first time. I'm a musician. They're all students at the University of Colorado here in Denver. They wrote this and performed it during COVID, so huge shout out to those guys for being a part of this. Now, as a disclaimer, there's a lot of beer in this pack. It's meant to be shared. Please do not sit down and try and drink 148 ounces on your own. You might die. I hope you're sharing this beer with someone that you care about and people that are special to you. Now, everyone turn to the person next to him and give him a nice open mouth kiss. That's nice. All right, enough of this foolishness. Now, let's remember why we're here, and that's to support Colorado craft beer and drink some kick-ass beer. Here's how this is gonna work. Before each interview, I'm going to introduce one of these beers that you see behind me. That's your cue to crack that beer open, pour it in a bunch of glasses, and to sample as you hear the stories from the brewers themselves. After each interview, you'll hear some quick feedback from our tasting panel. Now, we do suggest having some water on hand to clear the palate in between the beers. It's also a great way to make sure that you're not drinking way too much. Lastly, there may be an F-bomb or two in this. It's not crazy, but there might be a couple, so maybe be on hand with the earmuffs if the little ones are about. So let's get started with the heliocentric Hefeweizen from Odyssey Beer Works. Adam the Instigator, we're continuing our walk through the beers. We have Chris and Dina from Odyssey. How are you guys today?
Doing great.
Good, thanks.
Brilliant. Thanks for being a part of our virtual beer fest. And just remember, as you're talking to me, you're talking to, hundreds of people.
Millions of people around the world. Yeah.
I want to say thousands, but that's a little lofty. Well, first off, we're in COVID, and I was just telling Dina, the first time I was at your brewery was maybe 6 months ago. So it was just after I'll call it the lull, right? There's a big COVID lull and whatever. And you guys have an amazing tap room. All the beer I had was great. How are you guys doing today, knowing that there's kind of this more restrictions and everything else?
That's it. We get this question a lot. We've been around almost 8 years, so we have a lot of followers and friends and supporters. I honestly don't know how to answer the question every time. I mean, we're doing, I think, as well as can be expected. I laugh all the time that you try to put together a business plan, and it's that time of year where the business plan should have been done and ready to hit 2021. But it's kind of pointless at this point. We're small. We only do about 2,000 barrels a year, so we're pretty adaptable. We can pivot pretty quickly, but we've never been in a situation where we pivot week to week. We just put a tent up outside yesterday that we can fit 32 people in. I think we're doing better than a lot because we were set up for packaging right from the beginning. We have our own canning line and our own labeler. We can create and print labels in, frankly, less than 2 weeks when we need to. So that gives us a little more flexibility. And while we've got all this draft beer that we probably can't sell at the tap room, and bars and restaurants aren't looking to stock up right now, so let's put it in cans. So if you guys hear noise in the background, that's part of what's going on today. We're canning some beer that we probably weren't planning on canning. So.
How's the community? I mean, I know you guys have kind of it's a changing community, right? I mean, have they been coming out and supporting you guys pretty well? They're getting stuff to go and everything?
We are, and we're lucky. We have a really great group of regulars and our Mug Club members. Our Mug Club members have been holding us up all these months.
Community support, yeah. I do think it helps that we've been, like I said, our 8-year anniversary will be in May of 2021, so 7.5 years. We've got a great following. We have some very loyal And I mean, almost all of our friends we've met at the brewery. So that helps.
That's great. That's great. Well, that's good. And community is such a big part of this, and it's good to hear that yours is going to bat for you guys. Quick story. How'd you guys get into this?
I grew up in Fort Collins. So I was living in Fort Collins kind of at the dawn of the craft beer scene with New Belgium, and shortly after that, Odell and Cooper Smiths and, you know, everybody that was up there at the time. So to make it a long story short, I enjoyed the craft beer that was coming out and started homebrewing in the early 90s. Met my former partner, Josh, through some mutual friends that more or less said, hey, you're one of those weird guys that likes to brew his own beer. We have this other friend who's a weird guy that likes to brew his own beer. You guys should brew together. We both always enjoyed craft beer, and every time we got together, we talked about what we liked and were drinking. And fast forward 15 years or so, we got together before the holidays one day and just said, all right, we're both in professional careers. How's life? We're both bored. We've both been very successful at what we were doing, but didn't really enjoy it. Same story you hear from a lot of brewery owners. And we just took about 6 months to research and kind of figure out if it's something we really wanted to do and something we thought we could pull off. And we did. We signed the lease on our current space on December 31st of 2012 and opened in the middle of May of 2013. So I still think we hold the record from signing a lease to opening. And we had a lot of friends that helped. Shout out to the Bowsers, if you guys are listening. The Bowser brothers and a lot of other people helped us put the brewery together. So,
My dad and brother.
My dad and my brother. I mean, countless people.
Why the name Odyssey?
We kept coming back to something about travel and experience. So the Odyssey, you know, it's not necessarily so nautical. It's more about the experience and travel and adventure, the journey. And it just kind of fit.
Well, let's talk about the beer. That's what we're here to do. Part of this beer fest is we want to kind of hear what you think about this beer. If there's a story behind it, maybe there is, whether it's the name or the type of beer. And then as people taste it, because they'll be sampling it here as they watch this, what should folks be seeing, smelling, tasting as they go through this beer that you guys brewed?
This is the beer. I've got like the sun shining in our mirror. Heliocentric Hefeweizen. This is one that we've done since we opened. It's one of our core beers that we have year-round. It's one of my favorites.
This was on tap on May 17th or whatever, 2013.
Yeah.
It's a German wheat. It's a German wheat ale.
This particular one, the Hefeweizen, the first thing that's going to hit you is like banana notes, and that's from the yeast. We don't put any bananas in here. If you don't like bananas, you're probably not going to care for this beer, but a little bit of clove.
What you should usually get from a well-made Hefeweizen is the shining flavors are banana and clove. I heard some people, depending on your palate, some people say like a little bit of bubblegummy taste. Yeah. My favorite review on Untappd of this beer, and it said, my friends all told me how amazing this beer was, so I ordered one, and I still don't like wheat beers. 1 star. So the moral of the story is, judge the beer on the quality of the beer, not on your personal likes and because if all you drink is IPAs, you're probably not going to like the Hefeweizen, and vice versa. If you don't like IPAs, stop drinking them. They're not going to taste like a Hefeweizen.
So this is one of those things where people need to appreciate it for what it is, and not necessarily for, it's not as good as this beer that I just had because that's the style I like, right? But I can tell you just by the way you're describing it, and I'm going to try one here. I don't have one with me, but I'm coming this weekend to get it. But if they're tasting banana and they're getting clove, you guys have brewed a traditional hef, right? A traditional German style hef. And that's on point. I mean, you shouldn't taste that and go, man, I'm not getting any bitterness off this. Well, that's not what this beer is about. Right?
No.
You shouldn't get much in the way of citrus. You shouldn't get, it's supposed to be a pretty clean, easy drinking traditional beer. It's a classic. And
what do you think about adding fruit to this beer? Would that be something that If you saw it, would you go like, you shouldn't do that?
We have.
I don't have a problem with people drink your beer how you want. I don't feel it needs fruit. You know, a lot of people want to add an orange slice or something. I like it without, but you know, that's what you like. Go for it.
So we have
I don't think it needs it.
We've done some variants. We added peach. We had a peach Hefeweizen a couple years ago. What did we do? There was one. We did one earlier this year.
We've done a chocolate banana, like chocolate banana. Didn't we?
Too many beers.
Kumquat. We did a kumquat version,
which was really good. It was delicious.
No one knows what a kumquat is. It's very similar to an orange, but it made it a little bit sweeter, of course.
So we took the time to try 4 different fruits. We actually just threw kumquat into the conversation, just kind of as a, let's see what it does. And actually, the flavor profile just worked really, really well with the banana clove. It's definitely a little bit. It's a relative to an orange, is what it is. The flavor, and it just worked perfectly. So people.
The fun part, yeah, and this is the fun part about craft beer, right? Is like. A lot of breweries have, you know, their staples, right? And then they go, well, you know, let's take it and let's add this or change this or whatever adjunct you want, and you come up with some completely different concoction, and that's why people should go to craft breweries. I don't think everyone knows this, right? Like if you just go to the store and buy, great, you're tasting their beer, but if you go there, there's going to be 7-8 beers that you probably never get again, right? There's an experience to be had, right?
And we laugh after this many years. I think we do about 30 different beers every year, roughly, give or take 25 to 30 seasonals.
Yeah.
And so after 7 years, we'll call it 150 different beers. And I can guarantee every single one of them is someone's favorite, and it's mad that we don't have it year-round, and we haven't brought it back or whatever. We get that all the
emails
time.
and untapped reviews saying they don't do this beer anymore. Yeah, I understand.
How come you haven't brought back the boot to the head, the snap? Like,
I've gotten that 2 Decembers in a row.
We like a lot of different beer. What can I say?
Yeah. All right. So when you guys aren't making delicious beer, what do you guys like to do outside of this?
Well, and during normal times, we love to listen to live music. That's one thing we loved when we lived in Austin.
Each of you, favorite band, go.
For me, it's the old 97s.
Social Distortion. Man, I'm a comic book nerd. And this may surprise a lot of people out there. And I won't name them in case they're not out yet. I know 4 other brewery owners that are at least as big a comic book nerd as I am. So apparently that's part of the underground culture of comic books. One you can probably figure out pretty easily. It's all over their damn cans.
We love to travel. We don't get to do it as much this year, notwithstanding. We don't get to do it as much as we would like, just because we own a business and
honestly,
only have a small team. But
the name
we
Odyssey,
love to travel. Yeah.
We try to embody that.
Do you guys have a brewery other than your own that you don't feel maybe everyone knows about, but they should go there?
Luckily, we've had a lot of really good brewers come through Odyssey over time, and a number of them have either opened their own brewery or are head brewers at another brewery, you know, after being an assistant brewer here. Jordan over at Woods Boss. I would really like to say what I always tell him when we see each other, but I can't since this is recorded.
It's not family friendly.
They make so amazing beer.
You have to be 21 or over to buy a ticket. Go for it.
So Jordan, go fuck yourself. Last but not least, Chris Kirk at Banded Oak. I think they're the ones that make some amazing beer that probably don't get quite the same name recognition as a lot of other breweries in the metro area.
Kind of spreading the love events, I guess, here at that question.
Yeah.
Last thing, once things open, or even now, somebody comes to your brewery, what do you want them to leave with? People
that have never had a craft beer before or say they don't like craft beer, we're going to change your mind. Our goal is to be accessible to everyone, find something that works with every palate. And last but not least, thanks for having us, man.
Yes, thank you for
we really
inviting
appreciate
us
you
to
guys
participate.
Inviting us. It's cool. And thanks for what you're doing.
Yeah, I appreciate the shout out, and that's my whole thing. Colorado breweries above all others, man. So thanks for keeping up the fight. Thanks for being a part of this event, and we'll talk to you guys soon.
All right.
Thanks.
Cheers, guys.
Thanks.
Hey.
Hey, everyone. I hope you're enjoying the Beer Fest. Here is our tasting panel. Tasting panel, say hello. Brilliant. So here's the way this is going to work. While you guys are at home, we're also going to try the beers. I've picked these people, and we'll give them a quick introduction because there's a special place in my heart for these people in relation to beer. So the Hastert family, one of my first craft beer experiences was Steve was turning, 30, something young, I'm sure, and he rented a limo, and he took us all around. I think it was Boulder, Longmont area, and we visited a bunch of different craft breweries. So with that, Steve Hastert and his lovely wife, Jennifer, his lovely daughter, Lauren, have agreed to be a part of our tasting panel. How are you guys?
Happy to be here.
This is making amazing content for our beers. Thank you. And from 816 Brewing, we have Brian Ryan has taught me most of what I know about home brewing. Brian, welcome to the tasting panel.
Thanks. I'm happy to be here.
So 816, it's on pause, right, due to this whole COVID thing. What's going on with you guys?
Yeah, we kind of had to shut things down. Lost one of our partners and our venue.
So what exactly is 816 Brewing? It's not a real production brewery.
Kind of hard to classify. You might say we're a think tank of brewers, home brewers. We all made different styles possible. We would hold exclusive tasting events last couple of years. Ultimately, we're just wanting to do something local for the people of the 816 area, the zip code. There's not a whole lot out here.
Someplace after that comment about there's not much out here, someone at Ben Barley Shed just went here. The one brewery in our zip code. So here's what I like about Steve. The Hastert family, they're kind of foodies, right? And so they associate kind of every taste with something. So you might hear he'll try a beer and he'll say, this is just like that pancake I had in Belgium, but it wasn't called a pancake, whatever, and he'll tell you all about it. So I'm looking forward to some of that. With that, we're going to start with a beer. Everyone have your beer cup up. This is the Hef from Odyssey Beer Works there in Arvada. We were there today. Lovely place, lovely people. Dina and Chris are awesome. And they told me that this is going to be more in the style of a German Hef than an American Hef, so you should taste banana here. If you don't like banana, you're probably not going to like this. But I asked us to drink this and judge it on its merits more than anything else, so give it a try.
It might be a small thing, but I really like the carbonation. I thought it was very effervescent, and that really gave me a great mouthfeel. So, yeah. Lauren, your first Hef, what do you think about it?
Well, I've never had a banana beer before, but it is very sweet banana. It was kind of like Laffy Taffy-ish.
I thought it was a nice drink.
Yes, that's a super drinkable beer. That was Chris and Dina from Odyssey Beer Works, and they're just totally awesome. Speaking of awesome, let's crack into the Oswald from Woods Boss and meet a brewer that is brewed from boys camp to base camp. Everyone, meet Jordan. Adam the Instigator with Beer Fight Club. I am here with Jordan Fink from Woods Boss. How are you doing today, Jordan?
Really good.
Yeah?
Yeah.
How are things going at the brewery, man?
Every day's an adventure, man. I don't know.
Yeah.
We're good. I mean, we're still open. We're still around. We're clawing and scratching and fighting, kind of like Beer Fight Club.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
Yeah, totally. But, we're working our asses off to stay alive, so.
Well, I have to say, I was remiss, and I hadn't been to your brewery yet. I've been to 200 and some odd or whatever, and yours was one of the ones I hadn't knocked off. Finally got in there a month or so ago. It's beautiful, man. It really is a beautiful tap room, and I'll tell you what, we sat at the branch table, right? It's just like this tree.
The stump.
The stump, yeah. It was amazing, and then the beer was great. I mean, honestly, a lot of times you'll go to a new brewery and you kind of have high expectations, which I did, because I've heard some great things about you. And then the beer sometimes doesn't, live up to that. Yours definitely did. Every beer we had was great in its own way. So what can you tell me? I mean, there's wood everywhere. The name of the place is Woods Boss. What's behind the brewery? What's behind the name? How'd you guys start?
I worked for the Forest Service for a number of years in college, digging trail, fighting fire, building bridges in the wilderness, running crosscut saws and, Pulaskis and hand tools and all that sort of stuff. Actually, I was based here in Holy Cross Ranger Station up by Minturn. I lived up, ski bummed, worked for the Forest Service, ultimately moved up to the Pacific Northwest and got a job with an organization called the Northwest Youth Corps, which takes teenagers out for 5-6 weeks at a time for a session all over Oregon, Washington, Northern Cali, Montana, Idaho, doing trail work, environmental education, life skills, work skills, teaching them how to be badasses and how not to be assholes and how to, work together and all this sort of stuff, and develop an appreciation for the natural world and, brainwash them into wanting to see wilderness continue to exist and stuff like that. So my ultimate job title while working there was Woods Boss. Hiking in 10 miles, working, digging 8 hours a day, hanging out with the kids, helping the crew leaders, bringing the fun and the crazy work ethic and the hammer when it needed to happen, all that sort of stuff. And then hiking back out 10 miles, getting in the car, driving for 4 hours, sleeping in a trailhead, hiking in and doing it all over again. As a Woods Boss, I sort of became the person that I had always wanted to become. We were hanging out at a fish show. I had just been offered a job to help start the first craft brewery in Nepal. So I went to Nepal to do that. Chad and I kept talking, helped build a brewery for them for about 7 months. I just finished my contract, was hiking up to Everest when the earthquake in 2015 happened, watched the avalanche come ripping down, got hit by the powder cloud, went hiking up because I was a firefighter looking for people that were lost or buried or hurt, helped where I could, and then got myself the fuck out of there.
So this is the stuff, like, even if people go to your brewery, they're not going to get this story. And that's what we're trying to share. You're right. This is where we need to go next. We got to talk about the beer. I picked this one for the pack personally because it was a standout for me. Walk our Beer Fight Club family through this beer a little bit. Is there any history with the name? And then as you're brewing it, what were you trying to do and what should they be trying to see, smell, and taste?
Oswald is one of the few beers that we've had on since day one. True head brewer is Ryan Logan, and he had been playing around with this recipe at home for a couple of years. He's like, this is going to be our first hazy. Totally his recipe. I was like, great, hit it, do it. Brewed it, and people went apeshit over it right out of the gate. And we haven't really changed it at all since day one. It has a ton of hops in it, a ton of different hops in it. I think there's like 8 different hops, and in a yield of about 12.5 to 13 barrels, something like 50 some odd pounds worth of hops in there. So the name,
like a lot of late edition as well, right? I assume it's
So we do our hazies. I don't want to say differently, but we do them our way, right? So hazies are not one thing. New England's, whatever you want to call them. You've got ones with lactose. You have ones with fruit. You have ones that are super juice, and other ones that cling to the more traditional heady topper, which is first and foremost an IPA. And we were looking for a little bit of that bridge with this beer. So we do actually have a small true bittering hop, which is almost uncommon these days with New England's or hazies at 60 minutes. And by 60 minutes, I mean 60 minutes to the end of boil. So for folks who don't brew a lot, using terminology.
So that's a great point, right? So when I brought this up, late edition, right? So there's really kind of 3 editions typically, right?
We do a very small bittering hop, and then we do a ton in the whirlpool, which is after we killed the boil. So we're really trying to capture those, softer, not bitter hop flavors and characteristics and aroma. We use a lot of Citra, Mosaic, Eldorado, Crystal, which is a great hop that's underutilized. Really helps candy the whole thing up. There's a little bit of Chinook in there. I don't even remember. I like to say, I think other people also like to say that brewing is both art and science, right? It's cooking and it's chemistry and biology and creativity and all that sort of stuff. In any event, Oswald is, we haven't gotten a C&D on it yet, but you see that's the rabbit, right? So Oswald was an original Disney character. It was the precursor to Mickey Mouse. And years ago, Ryan was at Disney World or Disneyland with his daughter and saw the Oswald thing. He's like, someday I'm going to make a beer and call it Oswald Full of Hops. He's like, great, let's do it. And anyway, so that's the legend of the Oswald.
I love it.
Yeah, it's not trademarked because Oswald is actually trademarked by a brewery out in Oregon who is nice enough to let us continue to use it so long as we never distribute to Oregon. It's like, done.
Oh, that's cool. That's cool.
Yeah, you know,
not every brewery is as nice with their names as that one is.
It's true. So this beer is meant to be a tribute to the original New England style, but also hazy and juicy all at the same time. Still has a sweetness to it. So you get a little bit of bitterness at the beginning, just the idea of a little bit of pine to remind you that you're still drinking an IPA. Great mouthfeel. And then it opens up into just this melange of tropical fruitiness, a little bit of citrus notes in there, just a burst of flavor every time you take a sip.
Based on where you guys are, it's a kind of an up and coming area. How important has your community been? Are they coming through for you all right now?
Yeah, you know, I mean, we open to be a community neighborhood brewery, and that's been true. We have a number of regulars that show up all the time, and other folks that have been through over the years that make a point of coming out to support us. They come by, even if it's not to hang out at the tap room, but to pick up some beer to go. And that's the wonderful thing about not just our community, but the larger craft beer community is there's a ton of love out there. People really want to support craft across the board.
Well, that's the whole point of this, right? I mean, not everyone knows about Woods Boss, right? Maybe they're not traveling as much as other people. So that's our goal, is to get this out there, get you guys introduced, and your beer is worth it. People should definitely go there, but a good way to start that is right here. So hopefully people are enjoying it. And the next step is to go to Woods Boss for yourself, pick some stuff up while you can. And then when they're back open, go sit down, because it's a beautiful tap room. So that's my plug for you guys, I guess. We'll go to a COVID question. What do you miss most about the pre-COVID world?
Hugs?
Yeah.
I mean, no, honestly.
Depending on who you talk to, they say that's the safest thing you can do, because your face is here and their face is, I don't know.
Yeah, no, I mean, realistically, I think the hardest thing certainly for me, my family, is the isolation. We have an infant. We are extremely cautious. As a brewer and brewery owner, like it would suck on 20 different levels for me to catch it, for me to bring it home, for me to bring it into the brewery. Would shut us down, obviously. We can't afford that. Personal health, all that sort of stuff. So we take the recommendations very seriously. We don't go out and see friends. I go to work, wear masks, don't get terribly close to people. We do what we got to do. I go home, hang out with my wife and daughter and dog. And I love that. That's great. But I miss my friends. I used to beer tend one day a week, and I've met a lot of great people through doing that, and I'm not doing that at the moment. One, my folks need the work, so I'm happy to give up my shift to them. That's
exactly what I expected to hear from you, actually. It just, this little time, this conversation, I would expect it's the people more than the things.
Money's money, beer's beer, you know, vacations are vacations, whatever. We live in a beautiful fucking state.
Yeah.
We live in vacation land. I mean, my daughter has not been held by anyone but us. That sucks.
Yeah.
You know?
All right, last question for you.
We got Oswald to get us through.
What is the craziest thing that has ever happened in your brewery?
We had this event, they rented us out, and they paid Terry Bradshaw like stupid money to come hang out and interact with their employees at Woods Boss. And Terry had forgotten his wallet and had no cash, and ended up auctioning off his sports coat like in the middle of Woods Boss, in the middle of this event, for like $800.
Well, I'll tell you what, Jordan, it was great meeting you virtually here. Someday I hope we can do it in person, and I'll give you a big hug, and we'll share a couple of beers. And I'm just thinking off the cuff, maybe I'll buy a few of those narwhals, and maybe I'll just throw them in random packs. So if you're watching this, maybe in your pack you got an extra beer. That means that you are a random winner from Beer Fight Club and Woods Boss.
Well,
And hopefully you're enjoying some crazy chocolate stout right now, and you know you're the only one.
Dig it.
Awesome. Again, I'm going to let you go. I appreciate all the time. You gave us a lot. If I can do anything for you guys along the way, let me know. All right, buddy. See ya.
Later.
Well, beer.
So you just heard from Jordan Fink at Woods Boss. We are now trying the Oswald. Hopefully you're already kind of enjoying it. The 3 S's are important here, right? So the sight, the smell, and the sample.
I really like this beer. This is a great beer on a hot summer day. It just feels refreshing.
Yeah, yeah. What flavors are you getting out of this, Steve? I can't wait to hear this.
Definitely a little piney, a little dank. Not nearly as sweet on the palate as it was when I was smelling it. I thought it was going to be much sweeter. But
Definitely got that, a little bit of that, the weedy, grassy kind of flavor too, which some IPAs have.
It's got bitterness, but it's not bitter, right? And it's got that juice bomb that they talked about, and it really hits you, and then it's just finished it super clean. God, that instigator fellow will not shut up, right? So I have to prep you for this next one. We also had some technical difficulties with the video and sound, so bear with us. We did our best to mix it and make it as smooth as possible. Sometimes technology is just not your friend. Now, crack open the Squirrel Nut Brown Ale and meet the man, the myth, the chemist, Jason from Locavore Beer Works.
Thanks for participating today on the whole Beer Fight Club. You're a champion of the Fight Club.
We are, yeah. Well, I don't know if it was the first one, but we definitely took something home.
Yeah, I think Two Fingers won the second one.
Yep. Yeah, Two Fingers is actually a really good beer. It'll be canned probably about 2 more weeks, give or take.
Is that your biggest seller, Two Fingers?
We don't do it year round. Well, Lilyhammer IPA is probably our biggest seller, with a close second to Blackberry Betty.
And then you always seem to have a rotating hazy.
Yeah, well, we got started on hazies with Mad Hughes from Gold Spot back in the day. The first one we named Bandwagon because we were really resistant to the idea. Since then, we've tried to keep at least one hazy on.
I will tell you, my favorite beer that you brew is the Winter Warmer, which my wife just told me is on hiatus for 2020.
Did she call?
No, she came down.
Okay. Someone called the other day and asked us. And yeah, we're like, with all the restaurants closing down, or at least shutting down the draft program, we just figured that we'd be sitting on a Winter Warmer through July. So.
Well, now you know you have at least 2 fans, our house and whomever called. But it's interesting, on a side topic, looking at your history, you were a chemist.
Back in the day.
How did you get from chemistry to brewing?
Well, I've actually been brewing a lot. I've been brewing about a year longer than working as a chemist. Started off with a Mr. Beer kit from Bed Bath & Beyond that my wife gave me.
Really?
Yeah. But, you know, a lot of careers take you down. You kind of get, I don't say stuck in them, but not as, I guess, rewarding as the years go on. So, you know, I think about 17 years into working environmental chemistry that I just found myself at the end of the road. So I got to do something different. So.
One of the things I love about Locavore is you have a great community there that really works with you and supports you.
Yeah, absolutely. Our customer base those are the driving force between keeping our doors open.
Why do you think there's so much great beer in Colorado? What is magical about this state that it all comes together here?
Well, you know, I think there's a lot of great beer everywhere. You know, I think we've been exposed early on. They started pushing these envelopes way before a lot of the other parts of the country.
And so what beer trends do you see emerging next year or in the next few years? What's
you know, that's an interesting what we really need to do is follow the big boys like Firestone, because those are the ones who have all the research team. I think hazies will be here for a little while, but I also feel that some of these old school styles that I learned to drink, like the Newcastles, we might see some of those research I think we're going to see this trend of, everyone's cutting their teeth on the hazies. They're not super bitter. They're more like hopped up pale ales. Eventually, this crowd's going to be like, hey, what is an ESB? What is a brown ale? What is a red ale? They're going to come back around to these classic styles that have never gone away. So I think we're going to see some classic styles kind of resurge.
My day job is marketing, and I think what the Belgians need is to trademark and push the yeast strain.
Yeah, we actually before COVID hit, we decided to roll out, January, rolled out a 4-bottle series of bottle conditioned Belgians. Strong Blonde with honey, Tripel, a Duvel, a Quad, all barrel conditioned, all bottle conditioned, cork and cage. That experiment proved surprisingly successful, where we went through the entire batch and we had to redo it again, which kind of gave us a cue that, hey, these might be making their way back into the market again if they're done right.
Any fun story about a beer that you brewed and then it was a colossal disaster, or just something fun?
Well, they're all fun, but I think what you're asking is, we early on, probably was like year 1, 2015. So we opened in November, so those first couple months not really counting. But first full year in 2015, my partner Andy and I were brewing what was supposed to be what was this style? I don't know if it was a brown or an amber, but he was mashing in the grain, so he's got one half of the brewer house occupied with putting the grain into the mashed water, the strike water, liquor. And I was rinsing the other kettle, the boiled kettle. Well, in between these two kettles is what we call the industrial accident valve. And it's a valve that separates the two tanks.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I'm filling up water and boiling to go through the heat exchanger, and he's putting grain in the other side. I turn on the pump, not realizing that industrial accident valve is open. So all my boiling water goes into his grain. And he's standing up on the deck, and he's looking. He's like, "Why is this water getting higher?" And I'm down on the base, on the concrete. I'm like, "Oh, geez, there it is." Right. So we did some, quick thinking, monkey math, and changed this amber into a bramber. So we just added some brown malts to it because we didn't know we didn't know what was going to happen. We just basically put this entire batch of ingredients in with boiling water, and we didn't know if we were going to stop conversion of the starches to sugars and things like that. So we just supplemented. We drained some water out because it was like really full. The kettle was really full. We drained some water out, threw some more grain in there, and we just called it a bramber, which was a brown amber. I forget which way it was supposed to go. What the base was, but it, my partner Andy, who was out flying, and I'm tasting the beer. I'm like, "Hey man, this is actually really good. We can never ever make it again. We can never replicate that scenario, but we've only done it once, and it was a really good beer."
What's a hidden beer or a hidden brewery somewhere in Colorado that you like to hit or you like to drink?
Well, I don't really get out much, so I love to go to Green Mountain. Personally, it's right by my house, and I think what you guys are doing is great. Just kind of stay at home and drink some beers. Awesome.
Let's talk about the beer. I've got it here. Squirrel.
Oh, right.
And
I got
all right. And I've got this anniversary glass.
Nice.
I was going to complain to the owner because I bought this anniversary glass and put it in the dishwasher.
Oh, yeah. Don't do that.
Yeah. It's not an anniversary glass anymore.
That's the gold rim one, huh?
Yes.
Yeah,
I'm not the only one that did that, am I?
Hey, cheers.
Yeah. Happy New Year. Tell us about the beer. All
right. This is, a classic style. We came out with this in a can, I want to say 2 years ago. We looked at the market, and we know browns aren't super popular, but here again, I cut my teeth on Newcastle. A lot of people did, and we wanted to have something that was approachable, that you drink a few of. Pair this with almost anything, really. So that's how we came up with this. This was actually an old homebrew recipe. When you learn how to brew, you brew things that what they're supposed to taste like.
I do love the caramel. I do like a brown,
Yeah.
Yeah. You taste something different than all hops or all yeast.
Yeah, so this has got, your traditional ingredients to it. It's Golden Promise, Vienna malt, Victory malt, Biscuit malt. It's got some Crystal, 77 in there, so it's a little bit higher on the scale. A little touch, I got the recipe right here, a little touch of chocolate malt, and just a tiny bit of roast. That's it. English hops, English yeast. Yeah, so we'll run this basically fall through early March.
Okay.
Maybe a little bit later, but it's a brown ale, and while it's still good in summer, people kind of transition their drinking habits to the Hefeweizen. We understand where the market is during the season. So
all right. Well, I really appreciate it. This is delicious beer, and thanks for brewing it for us. So I guess the hard question I have for the day is, as we head into 2021, a much better year for everybody, anything you'd like to say?
Well, I kind of alluded to earlier, I think it's what you guys are doing great, that's really great right now is this stay-at-home beer fest. New Year's Eve is just another day, really. It's an excuse in a sense to go out and drink, but what you guys are doing is stay home, drink your beer, get this big variety, stay safe, don't spread the vid. I mean, the sooner we do that, the sooner we're out of this quagmire, and we all go back to what we once called normal.
Well, thanks for your help. I look forward to throwing back one in person here shortly.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
All right, Jason, you have a great afternoon.
Okay, you too.
All right, cheers.
Great talking to Jason at Locavore, and great learning more about the brewery, and brought back some Squirrel Nut Brown for everybody to eat the sample here tonight. So cheers. I could really get into a nice nut brown, especially this time of year when it's a little cool and this just feels like Christmas, and I can understand why it's called squirrel, because definitely some roasted nut characteristics in there.
A little maple maybe that you're tasting. It's great for a fall day.
It's a great representation of the quality of beer that's made just around the corner here in Colorado. This is a brown with that peanut just explodes, right? Peanut explodes in your mouth. Shouldn't say that. Slow pitch for anyone out there. Lots of coffee, lots of peanut. This is a solid beer.
I agree. I get that the coffee notes. The aroma is really nice. It gets you ready to taste something that you might drink in the fall or the winter.
They do a lot of versions of this. Even when I was there, he showed me a homebrew kit, and he's like, "Oh yeah, we've got 5 gallons of this. We're adding this, and we're going to barrel age it." So they do a lot of fun things at Locavore, and this beer is a big part of some of that. I love the hat, by the way.
Thank you.
The funny thing is, someone out there is going to be looking at this going, "Oh, I got that same hat," and they're right. It's the exact same hat. We got one of these from Locavore. He's wearing it to display it, but it's in someone's pack, so you're the winner.
It was when I said peanut shell that you.
Yes.
Not peanut. But
Peanut
the shell.
But
Yeah.
how is the peanut shell?
It did taste like peanut shell.
He was right.
Who the hell eats peanut shells? How do you even know this?
When you eat,
Was it salty?
them
No.
in the
When you go to Rockies and you get a bag of peanuts and you're throwing them in your mouth
You're
and
gonna get that.
crunching them open.
A reading. Oven dry roasted. Vacuum packed. My peanuts come alive when you open that sack. My peanuts. Okay, extra credit if you know the band and the movie that song was sung in. Find the second biggest beer in your pack, the one behind me. That's from Resolute. My buddy Andrew's about to drop some knowledge, so you better listen. Hey, so the virtual beer fest continues still. Right now I'm with Andrew with Resolute Brewing. How are you doing, Andrew?
Doing great, Adam. How you guys doing out there?
Dude, I'm standing 6 to 8 feet away from you. I'm doing pretty good.
Right on. Well, for those of the people at home, they're probably about 6 to 8 beers deep by now on New Year's Eve, right?
Let's hope so.
All right.
If they're doing it right, they're definitely drinking a lot of beer tonight.
Hell yeah.
So Andrew and I have a little bit of history. We play soccer together. How excited are you to get back to playing soccer?
Oh man, I can't wait. I mean, just like we play 3 to 4 times a week. That's my outlet, other than and how I keep off all these beers that we're working on here. So yeah, that's what keeps me sane other than beer. You got to balance the two. So yeah, I can't wait, man. I can't wait to get back kicking it around with you guys on the weekends or weeknights, and then the beers in the parking lot, just that bonding experience. I miss that. So.
Yeah, and this is a Beer Fight Club team, which makes it even
That's
better.
right. We got the sponsors, man.
You have to have beers afterwards. But all right, well, let's talk a little bit about you guys. So COVID is a thing, right? Obviously. How serious are you guys taking this?
As serious as possibly can be, man. We're sanitizing every surface. Unfortunately, we're playing by the rules with limiting party sizes, and at the time that this was shot, we're all sitting outside in the cold and bundling up and drinking beers. But yeah, man, we're gonna make it through. We just want to keep the doors open, keep our staff safe, and keep our customers safe.
That's great. That's great. You were telling me earlier the community's kind of come out in force, right? You got a guy come in and buy like $500 worth of beer, and that's what it's going to take right now, right? I mean, it's awesome that you have that. What else can they do for you guys?
If you guys are watching this, like your local pub, your local brewery, your restaurant, your favorite mom and pop place, they are suffering. If they still have the lights on come January 1st, tomorrow morning after the hangover wears off, get out there, put it on your credit cards, like get out there and support them, man. Like buy whatever you can within your means. I know everyone's kind of hurting, but yeah, I mean, our landscape of bars and restaurants and nightlife is going to be drastically different as we get into 2021, unfortunately.
Yeah, we were talking about the Jazz Club downtown.
Yeah, man, the Chapultepec. Yeah, I mean, if you haven't stumbled in there after a Rockies game,
Everyone has.
Yeah, man. Yeah, we're gonna miss the live jazz. I mean, just live music venues all around town. It's not just breweries, not just restaurants. Yeah, like your favorite place to go see some live music. And yeah, we hope they're still there once the lights come back on.
Let's get to something critically important, and that is the beer that everyone will be drinking as they're watching you right now.
If you're lucky enough, you're about to crack into Transparently Trendy, our hazy IPA Azaka version. So we use our Transparently Trendy has been our flagship hazy IPA since 2018, and just recently, over the last couple of years, because of you, we've been doing different variations to it. This time we added a ton of Azaka hops, and you're gonna get like starburst tropical fruit flavors from it. So like papaya, guava, definitely grapefruit, other citrusy fruits as well, pineapple. So yeah, I mean, we're really excited about this newest iteration of it. We also have citra hops in there, so you still get that lemony, kind of lemon zest flavor going on. So yeah, I mean, it's a cup of hoppy orange juice still, but yeah, a little more tropical with the flavor notes on this batch. And we're just really excited. I mean, we've been coming out with some cool beers in Centennial and at Arvada at our other location. Our barrel system, our barrel aging cellar has been pumping out some beers. I mean, we put a bunch of beers away in 2019, and we're starting to reap some of those wood-aged beers and sours.
Yeah, you got the little cans. Show them the little cans. These are so cute. They're adorable.
Show off the stubs. Yeah, man. And the cool things about these, like, I mean, on a night like tonight, you could crack into a bomber. But you know, if you want to have a barrel-aged beer on a weekday, these are 8 ounces. So you know, you can relax and indulge and still wake up and go to work in the morning. So
totally manageable.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, you guys doing some fun stuff there. You're just adding like a big heated pergola up there. Is that right?
Yeah, man. So yeah, in December we just started construction, and we should be finished by the time you guys get up there and check it out. We'll have a heated pergola at our Arvada location. In Centennial, we got a bunch of tents. It looks like Hooverville. We've got tents everywhere. Running electricity all over. I flip the breaker like 3 or 4 times every night I'm working, but it's worth it. We got heat going. People are awesome, bundling up, drinking beers, kicking back. It's been pretty cool. You guys are awesome.
Let's talk about, I know it's hard to look at 2021. What goals do you guys have coming up?
Well, we're gonna survive. I mean, there's no other option there.
You are.
Yep.
Too good to think.
So I mean, once we get beyond that, I'm really excited. I mean, our distribution, our cans across the state of Colorado are continuing to be pumped out. We have a salted lime lager that's going to release in late February in 6-pack 12-ounce cans. Really excited about that. Working on a couple new summer releases as well. So I mean, I'm on the sales side of things, so that's kind of what we're planning right now there. Our tap and cellar location is going to continue to I hope produce phenomenal wood-aged beers. I can't wait till that first beer fest where we're all back together. I already have a mental date. We'll see what that actually is, but there's going to be some insanity there. I know the guys from Downhill probably have like Hawaiian shirts and squirt guns like they always do, and Jordan from Woods Boss will have that chest hair that just, I mean, doesn't matter what he wears, it just protrudes out of his sweater. So we'll see that, I'm sure. You know, every hour of a beer fest, he goes down a button. So.
Yeah, I mean, that guy survived Everest, so I wouldn't mess with him. Right?
I do not mess with Jordan. No,
yeah.
No, he's the man. Those guys at Woods Boss are doing some awesome things. Really, I mean, you got quite the lineup in this Beer Fight Club New Year's Eve party.
The only thing it's missing is the Fight Club part of this, right? This is like the beer communal club. I mean, it really is about community and helping each other out. And I'll tell you what, everyone who bought a ticket, I'm just going to look right in the camera, everyone who bought a ticket, thank you so much for supporting. And it's not Beer Fight Club, it is the craft beer community. They need your help more than anything. And after this is done, again, just go visit them, go buy. It's not shameful to have $1,000 worth of beer sitting in your garage. Not that I do.
Do it.
Aside from Resolute, you look at all the other great breweries in Colorado. Which one do you kind of take as like, this is the diamond in the rough?
Before I go, I don't mean to offend anybody, but no. There's definitely many breweries, but I'd say my go-to, one of my favorites that flies under the radar, but I know that they're kicking ass, is Westfax Brewing Company next to Casa Bonita.
Yeah.
Go check out Alex's beers there. He comes from the same brewer's tree as Jordan, the guys from Woods Boss. They are all used to be brewers at Tommyknocker. I'm not saying, I just think since they are in the shadow of Casa Bonita, sometimes they get maybe not mentioned or brought up as much, and it's not downtown Denver. So yeah, Anthony and Alex, they're doing some awesome things at Westfax. My favorite place to get snowed in, have a couple pints, is Hogshead.
Oh my God, yes.
Dude,
right?
go and do a couple proper pints there.
A lot of good stories told at that bar.
Exactly. Yeah. Broken Compass is my favorite personally. Shout out to my guys at Chain Reaction. They kick ass. They need to. Yeah. We need to support all of our friends.
And we talked a little bit about it. So COVID's over. Whenever it's fucking over, it will be over.
Glorious day.
We talked about a party you're gonna have. What's the first thing you're gonna do once things are back to normal?
Go to a Rockies game. Probably first thing I do. I'm gonna run naked down my block. No, I'm just kidding. We got a lot of kids. Not gonna do that. We're gonna go streaking from the brewery. Now,
we're gonna streak down the quad.
Yeah, streak to the quad. Definitely go to a Rockies game. Go to see a live concert. Go pack in the Gothic on like a crazy Wednesday night and hide a hangover the next day at work. Like,
brilliant.
I miss those small intimate shows. I know you're a musician. Like,
totally, yeah.
I can't wait for that. I have a lot of tickets I got to use if those acts ever come back through.
Well, I'll tell you what, Resolute does things the right way. If you haven't been to Resolute, you should do that, even during COVID times. They're always going to treat you right. Great staff, great people, beautiful tap room. You can look at it from outside. But they have set up their outside nice. It's warm out there. They got little tents so the heat kind of stays. It doesn't just blow away, which is nice. And then the beer is awesome, and they have something for everybody. You have like a lemon drop thing. You have some barrel-aged stuff. You have the IPAs covered. You have the hefts. I mean, just about everything you could want, you're going to find somebody like him.
Yeah, man, we've got a lot of cool stuff coming up. I mean, we've got this Mexican hot chocolate stout that's coming up. I just saw one of our brewers, Reno. He's a madman on the barbecue, and he just smoked over 20 pounds of assorted peppers. We added that to the tanks today, so about this time we should have a spicy stout for you. Yeah, we got a lot of cool stuff coming. We're gonna try to be as innovative as we can especially during this time. We're pretty much on a pay freeze, but we're spending money on beers because you guys just keep coming out and supporting folks like us, and I still have a job because of you. So you're doing something right. Keep cracking those beers, and thanks for buying a ticket to Beer Fight Club.
All right, man. Well, dude, I appreciate you guys always supporting Beer Fight Club, being a part of our events. I hope we sell this fucker out, and we have a ton of people that are enjoying it as they watch this video, this shaky video that I've got.
We're talking to thousands of people at home right now. This is a lot of pressure, man.
We can hope so. We can hope so. But yeah, thank you so much, Andrew. Say goodbye to all the people. Say goodnight, Andrew.
Good night, Andrew.
Yeah.
Always good hanging out with Andrew over at Resolute. He has given us, for the tasting panel, the Transparently Trendy. This is a series, though. So we're trying a version of this, but the version that's going to be in our pack evidently is even more of a fruit bomb. So let's taste it. We know that's the base, but you at home, you're going to be trying a little something different. That's the nature of craft beer, and that's what makes it so fun. So this is the Transparently Trendy from Resolute Brewing.
My favorite styles of beer, for sure. Very well done.
So off camera, we have a beer runner that's helping us make this happen, running around the basement pouring beer. Shannon, what up? What do you think of this beer?
It's one of my favorites. We go regularly to Resolute to get it because I think it's drinkable, it's delicious, it does have some crisper notes, so it's one of my favorites. Well done.
I like it. It's a refreshing beer. Got a good amount of hops. Refreshing. It's got that kind of those grassy notes in there, which are good to cleanse the palate as you're drinking it.
Here's what's great. We've had 2 beers now in our tasting panel, the Oswald and the Resolute. Same beer style, but 2 totally different beers.
Absolutely.
One's more bitter forward, which the West Coast will like. One's more fruity, which I guess the East Coast will like.
This is what me and my friends would get.
Right.
Definitely.
If you could afford it, but you're in college, so you can't.
That's
Yeah.
right. When
When
your parents are there.
Yeah, when my parents are there, then we'll ask for hazies.
That's the way in college beer. All right, let's talk about that real quick. The beer I had to drink in those college days was Old Milwaukee's Beast. And you would just crush them, but man, they would crush you the next day.
Coors Banquet, we had a Rolling Rock phase in our bad beer times. The 33.
That's right.
Still don't know what that means.
Nobody.
If anybody can answer that, please, let me know.
Do you remember Keystone? Yeah, that and Zima. It's not quite a beer, but
that is a malted beverage.
It is a malted beverage.
There's a period of time when Olympia was selling beer in a black can with neon colored Oli written on it.
I remember that, Oli.
And I'm glad somebody else remembers this, because at one time that was the thing, was to have the neon Oli.
Okay, those are some dark days drinking some bad beer and having bad hair. Believe me, I got the prom pictures to prove it. All right, we're moving right along. Now's a great time. Everyone look around the room and point at the person who's probably going to overindulge tonight. If you're pointing at yourself, might be a good time to just slow down a little bit. All right, break out the huge red can from Holidaily. This is the Beulah. You're going to learn what happens when you add a little bit of science, a little bit of brewing know-how, and 0 gluten, and how delicious it can be.
I'm Steve Hastert with Beer Fight Club. Welcome to our virtual beer tasting. Here with Alan Windhausen of Holidaily. Alan is the head brewer there and the creator of some delicious gluten-free beers that we're going to talk about today.
Pleasure to meet you.
So how long have you been at Holidaily?
Coming up on 2 years. I have a pretty strong science background, and I've been a brewer at barley-based breweries for 5-6 years. And so coming over to Holidaily was a chance to really explore what makes beer beer, and going through and figuring out how to use different malts to make beer flavored beer rather than something that is derived from a syrup or something like that. We use 100% malt, but it takes a pretty strong background to figure out what enzymes you need to get certain precursors to make beer. And for barley-based brewing, that's a given because that's all built into the grain. For us, we have to actually backwards engineer it and figure out what is exactly the protein and sugar content that we need, and then find out how to extract that from our grains to make an IPA that tastes like an IPA, not something that is IPA adjacent.
How did your brewery get to be gluten-free? Why did you go that way?
Yeah, so our founder and owner, Karen Hertz, she was actually working for the biggest brewery in Golden. We're either the second or third based on square footage now. But she used to work for the biggest brewery in Golden, and she ended up having 2 bouts with cancer. And during the second one, the doctor said, you cannot have any more gluten. She has a diagnosis that means that she has a response to gluten in her body. It's similar to celiac, but not exactly the same. And it meant that she could not have gluten and be able to fully fight her cancer. So she had to give it up entirely. Seeing that similar experience in other people made her realize how much of being a Coloradan and being a Coloradan that worked in the brewing industry was built around the social aspects of beer. So she started to look for a good gluten-free beer that she could bring to these kind of events. She didn't really find anything from the time that she found out she had to be gluten-free to the time she opened. And she said, you know, if there's not good gluten-free beer out there that makes me feel like I'm part of my social network, I'm gonna just make one. And conveniently at that time, actually Grouse, who I have some magnets up on the board, Grouse Malt House had opened and they were making 100% dedicated gluten-free malt, which meant that rather than having a syrup-derived beer-like product, we could actually go back and use 100% malt to make a 100% beer. In 2015, they perfected some recipes. In 2016, we opened, and we've been brewing delicious gluten-free beer ever since.
So just great timing. One of the things that the Beer Fight Club we're interested in is all of the great beer all over Colorado, and it's interesting to hear these stories and how interconnected the whole industry is, and it's not an accident that so many interesting things are happening across the state.
Oh yeah, no, I started as a canning person at Wincoop before I even went to beer school, and I think they still have a handwritten family tree of people who've worked at Wincoop and where they are now in the brewing industry up on their fridge in their brewer's office.
So as you travel on, is there any hidden breweries or beers around Colorado that you think are hidden gems and should get a call out today?
I mean, there's a bunch that I really do enjoy. It's kind of difficult to go and find bad beer in Colorado, which is pretty awesome given that we have over 400 breweries. I would say drop into any brewery and ask what the person working the bar is having for their shift beer that day, and you're going to find a pretty tasty brew. I'm a big fan of Pikes Peak Brewing because I used to work there, but they make some delicious beers, and they just opened up a lager house down in Colorado Springs in the middle of this pandemic. And then locally to me, Pelly, Four Noses, and Resolute has a new tap room / barrel room, all within like 5 minutes of me. So it's a great place for me to sit, even just as a beer drinker.
I'd like to throw this out for everybody listening. I was having a beer last night, and of course outside and enjoying the cool air. And the server said, you just need a brewery kit with a hat and a blanket in your car, so you're ready to go anywhere. So what are you looking forward to brewing next year?
We have some pretty fun stuff up on the horizon. Last year in 2020, we came out with, as far as we know, the first brownie stout that was gluten-free. And that was a fun collaboration with Gluten Escape, who's a gluten-free bakery. So we're looking at maybe doing some more of that. We are going to be doing our collaboration with all the other gluten-free breweries. We're brewing it here in December. It should come out in January. And that is going to be a maple porter that was brewed with a small amount of malted blue corn. It won't actually be blue, the beer, but it will be, we're calling it the purple maple porter. And we also have a collaboration that we did with our homebrew winner. She came out with a winter warmer that was a little different than other warmers that we've had, in that it was a little bit lighter. It was kind of like a golden amber color, and it had coffee and vanilla and molasses in it. We do have some more products that are going to be coming out into distribution. One that we just released is going to be our Big Henry Hazy IPA, and it is based on our gold medal award-winning Boombastic Hazy IPA. We just tweaked it a little bit to make it actually cost-effective to put in can, but it's a 6.3% hazy IPA. Has Idaho 7, has Mosaic, has some great hops in there. So that's going to be coming out, and it should be hitting the market right around early January.
Excellent. Well, you guys get to try a lot of new and interesting things. Is there any fun or interesting mishap with a beer recipe you made?
Fortunately, at Holidaily, if we've made a mistake, it's been something that's benefited us for the most part. Right when I got here, we actually had we used to do double canning days when we were at our other facility. We would can one product and then the next product right after. And we were canning blonde, our favorite blonde, and our Riva Stout. And the brewer who had set it up had put some of the beer into another tank and blended them. So we ended up having what essentially was a porter. And it was delicious and everyone loved it. And so we named it and put it out there. And if anybody asked, we're like, yeah, it's blonde and stout, but it's our new porter.
Well, I can't wait anymore because I got the beer we're going to be talking about today, the Beulah Red, one of the ships. So
this is actually our winter seasonal.
Oh, okay. So tell me about the beer. What am I looking for in this one?
Yeah, so this is a fun beer for me. We had a Beulah Red going back several years, but we ended up adjusting the recipe, and so I rebuilt from the ground up. So when I came here, this was the first of my own recipes that came into the can, even though it was loosely based on a recipe that we'd had for a while. On the can, we have a little mine cart and a mine shaft, and then we also have the state capitol on one side, and then a quarry building on the other. This is Beulah Red because Beulah, Colorado is where all of the red marble that is in the state capitol came from. So we have Beulah on here, and we, every year since we've made this, have tried to be a participant in their own city festival. So this is a red ale. It is nice and malty. It has a little bit of caramel richness to it. We actually developed this beer after caramel malts became available for gluten-free brewing. So we got some caramel malts, put it into this beer to help give it some color. We have some slight roasty and toasted malts in there just to kind of give it a little bit more of a rounded finish on the end. It has a nice kind of off-white caramely head. And yeah, this is our Beulah Red Ale.
Delicious. You are really changing a lot of hearts and minds about gluten-free beer with the great work you're doing there.
Thank you. Yeah, that's always kind of been the mission ever since Karen founded our brewery, is to make really good beer and have it be gluten-free and safe for anyone who wants to drink it. But we strive to make really good beer first and foremost.
And the great part is you guys distribute all over Colorado and Arizona now, I see.
Yep. Yeah, that was our goal for 2019, was to go corner to corner in Colorado, and we launched in Arizona pretty much right before everything shut down in 2020. But we've been shipping beer there every month or so. So yeah, all throughout Colorado and getting throughout Arizona.
I really appreciate the time today. But before I let you go, is there anything you'd like to say to craft beer in Colorado?
Right now, there's a lot of Colorado breweries that are just in general hurting, and so this is a great thing that you guys are doing. And just being beer fans participating in this kind of event is a help. But whenever you get a chance, go ahead and, if you can, get a 4-pack, a 6-pack of some local beer. That really does help out. And also to be aware that a lot of the service industry, our bartenders, our beer tenders, our servers, they are not getting the same level of tips that they used to. So if you're in a position where you are able to help out, giving them a little bit extra of a tip when you pick up your beer to go, all of that really helps out. So thank you for participating in this. Thank you for being a fan of beer in Colorado, and thank you for helping to support our industry. We really do appreciate it.
Well, thanks, Alan, and thanks, Holidaily, for joining us, and look to see you in person here very shortly.
Yeah, come by and say hi once it's safe.
You bet. Cheers.
Cheers.
Well, here's another great brewery that I got to talk with the other day. This is I'm told, the second largest brewery in Golden now. So a gluten-free brewery doing some really interesting, amazing things. And of course, I'm talking about Holidaily. And we're drinking their red, the Beulah.
And this is their seasonal, which I was excited to get in the pack. So you can't get this all year round. Like this is only around in the winter. And there's kind of that winter warm. There's spices in here, right? There's not, right? But they are a brewery for the gluten-free purist. Wow, that's hard to say. But everything they do there, literally 100% gluten-free, and they come up with these amazing flavors, and it's all science. Who would have thought? Who's trusting that anymore?
I think it's light and refreshing. It's got like a, maybe even like an apple, a cidery kind of feel to it. It's got a good amber color to it.
There's a little bit of that vinegar I'm getting at the side of my, that tang. It's really, I like that a lot.
I like it.
Yeah, it's a bit of sauerbraten memory I'm getting.
Like cloves and allspice, he means.
Of course he does. This is what I learned something every time I hang out with Steven's family. Sauerbraten, is that the word?
Yes.
Sauerbraten.
Delicious.
Yeah, it is delicious. And by the way, we're all sporting the Holiday awesome headbands. They literally gave us one for everybody. Okay, here's a special treat. Ladies and gentlemen, it is my pleasure to introduce on their debut a band right here from Denver. They're all students at the University of Colorado. Please scream as loud as you can so that your neighbors can hear you with your windows and doors closed. Then you're doing it right. Ladies and gentlemen, this is Insomniac Drives.
Time I wonder why you make me second guess myself. I found a way to let me in, to tell me everywhere you've been, that somehow you are more than me. But is that really what you say? Tear me down, I've never been one to chew you out, and now I'm here, reaching out. Trapped inside all your eyes, found a way to lure me in, to take me out with just one kick. It shouldn't matter what you think, but here I am just trying to please. I hear your voice inside my mind. You can't tell me where I lie, 'cause I'm my own and I won't go, not anymore. Follow my own path, but I've been kneeling at your feet. I am standing finally. I see the lights, I will be free. Lesson learned, I can't go back. Now I'm on my own path. Lesson learned, I will fight back. I won't come down again. So tear me down. Chew you out, and now I'm here, reaching out, but now I'm out of time, trapped inside all your
Again, I was just blown away when I heard those guys the first time. Keep an eye out for that band. As soon as things open back up, they're going to be out performing, and I'll be in the front row. Big thanks to Nick, Jesse, Jacob, and Jules for being a part of this beer fest and allowing me to debut their song. Now, I'm sure at this point we've all drank enough. We're oversharing, which is great. It's a great I love you man moment. Now let's get back to drinking. Find the crazy red can with all the amazing art on it. I want you to hold on to your taste buds for this next one. This is an amazing beer. It's won a shit ton of awards. And I want you to meet the people who made it happen. You're about to meet Leslie and Steve from Bootstrap Brewing. Hey, Adam the Instigator here. We continue the virtual beer fest with the owners of Bootstrap Brewing. I have Leslie and Steve. How are you guys?
We're doing great.
Yeah?
Thanks for having us on.
Oh, of course. You guys are always fun. A winner of a previous Beer Fight Club event. Yeah, exactly. And you guys showed well in our championship as well. And you guys just have great beer, just period. So love to have you guys involved with anything that we do. Let's start with that. How are things going? It's crazy times here, COVID times. I haven't been up to Longmont, so I don't know what the situation is like there, but how are you guys faring?
We're doing great. I mean, it's a little bit crazy from week to week. It's like, okay, put your tables 6 feet apart. Now you can't be inside. You can only be outside. And what defines outside? And it's like, what is next? You know?
But having the patio open and stuff like that, that's been a big help for us rather than just shutting down the whole thing like they did back in March. That was pretty tough.
That was devastating. Yeah. And a wholesale's been good.
Yeah. I was going to ask you about that. I know you guys are fairly widely distributed. That's had to have been a big help during this time.
Yeah, our wholesale side's been doing really well. You know, we're just like everybody else. We've been hoarding beer and liquor and toilet paper. So it's been going well.
Steve's got all the toilet paper.
I believe it. I believe it. How far out do you guys distribute now?
We're in most of the state. There's just a couple territories that we're still going to button up.
I'm not sure if you guys know, I'm a big soccer guy, and soccer was the only thing cooking for a while. So me and my team, you couldn't stay and hang out, and then you couldn't go to a bar, which was kind of our thing. You'd play and then go to a bar or something. So I just got in the habit of bringing cases of stuff, and then we'd sit in the parking lot and have a beer or whatever, right? And every time I could, I found that jumbo bootstrap pack, the 12-pack case.
Oh, the mixed pack.
Oh, that was awesome. Yeah, because we have people who like just different stuff, and everyone was just like, what is this? Who is this? And so I'm always trying to introduce you guys, and I know it always pleases. So let's talk about the beer that people are going to enjoy here. So the way this works is, as this beer festival goes on, we're asking people to crack open the beer as we're talking to the brewers. They can kind of get a sense for, you know, the taste, the smell, the sight, all of that. But with Wreak Havoc, which is one of my favorite beers, by the way, what should people be looking for in this beer as they look at it, as they taste it, as they smell it?
Yeah, man. Well, first, that's a good sound. No, this is a great beer. This is one of my favorites also. 8.5% Imperial Red. Just a real quick sidebar on it. When I built out the recipe, my intent was always that it was going to be a red IPA. Lots of hops, just a juicy beer. And we'd enter it in competitions, and the judges were like, great beer, wrong style. And so Leslie said, you know what? Let's enter it in the category that they're talking about. It's an Imperial Red. And first time we entered it, we won
gold medal.
Gold medal, GABF, or that was Los Angeles International. Then at GABF, we won a medal. Then all of a sudden, we won a World Beer Cup. Then another GABF, another World Beer Cup. And I'm like, all right, judges know it's an Imperial Red. Whatever. But like I said, this is one of my favorites. It's got a beautiful, beautiful red color to it. Nice tan head on it. It's just a really smooth drinking beer. It's not too malty, not too hoppy, but it's got some great aroma. It's just got that piney aroma smell to it. And then that is so good. It's smooth. You wouldn't know it's 8.5%. It's got a little caramel flavor to it. I added rye into this beer, so it's got a little spice to it, which I love. and it's just got massive amounts of hops, but it's not super bitter, but it's got that great aroma.
What I love about this beer is that you get different flavors and characters as it starts warming up in the glass.
Yeah, absolutely.
So as you continue to enjoy it, you just get different layers.
Yep, new beer with every sip.
Yeah, this is not a chugger. No, no question about it.
I don't know. Here, let me try.
Beer.
Let me try.
What's the newest beer that you guys have brewed? Anything new that you go, man, we got to start putting this in big production?
Oh, yeah. So this was a fun beer. I brewed it a year ago. 13.5% Imperial Coffee style. It's just
with Snickerdoodle coffee.
About 9 months ago, we put them into Woodford Reserve bourbon barrels. Let them sit for 9 months, and we just yesterday tapped the Woodford Reserve, and it is just a smooth, big bad boy. It just tastes so good. It's like you need to have a cigar, red velvet smoking jacket, and put your feet up and just sip this. We have it on tap. We're going to bottle some into champagne bottles. We'll have it in time for Christmas, and I'm pretty sure we can be talked into giving you one for sure.
I can be there in like 45 minutes. I'm willing to try.
You guys did release our non-alcoholic beer called Strapless. This one's an IPA, and then we've got so that's a strapless IPA, and we've got a strapless gold that we'll introduce in another couple months.
That's awesome. I mean, I'm not condoning non-alcoholic beer, but if I was going to, I would refer people to that. Let me ask you this. So talking about craft beer and the community, I love asking this question. I know it's a tough one for you guys to answer. Is there a brewery other than your own where you go, you should go to this one, right?
When I know people are going up to Fort Collins, I always tell them, go check out Equinox. They're another small brewery where you can only get their beer at the source.
All right, so random question. When you guys aren't brewing, what are you guys doing?
We're drinking beer.
We're drinking Wreak Havoc and watching Schitt's Creek. No, we enjoy, I mean, now it's tough, but we enjoy going out and socializing, hitting the restaurants, our favorite.
Yeah, especially supporting our restaurant partners that are struggling,
especially
and
right now.
Need a little extra love right now.
For sure, yeah.
COVID's obviously wreaked havoc, if you will, on the market. What do you think's the biggest challenge as we come out of this into next year? What are craft brewers going to have to maybe rethink as they head into whatever's next?
What we really need is Congress to step up and do their deal again and help everybody with, some stimulus package to get everybody through the next couple of months and stuff. That's tough because we're making sure we can keep everybody employed. We're blessed to have the wholesale rocking and rolling. But if it continues like this, a lot of us, restaurants and small breweries or whatever, you may lose them, for good.
Yeah, you're right. And the political scene is just a shitstorm right now. I'll just say it, right? It's been terrible, regardless of who you voted for or whatever else. It's just a total mess. And you're right. At some point, they need to get off all of that, get on with, hey, these people need help. How do we help them? And get it done.
Yeah, we just need a bridge to get us to the other side. Once the vaccine gets going, hopefully things open up in the spring and stuff.
All right, on to something a little bit more fun. Beer Fight Club, you guys have been to a couple events now, been a big part of 2 events. What's your favorite Beer Fight Club? Oh, I love it. He's got the plaque.
Yeah. This is the memory right here.
I love it.
Our favorite moment, right?
That was the one, it was at Tap 14, right, downtown? It ended up being downstairs because it snowed, and then there was like 2 other events going on. It was a total shit show. Still one of my favorite ones. It was a sellout, which was awesome, and then some of the best beer we had there. You guys were there. Great memory. One of the breweries came up to me, and this Beer Fight Club is a big elimination thing for people who don't know, right? And it's kind of head-to-head competition. One of the brewers came up to me like, awesome, man, we're on to the next round. And I'm like, no, you didn't make it. They had misidentified their beer and been drinking it and telling people to vote for it all night, and then they got somebody else through to the next round. So
Oops. Like you said, we've been to a couple of them, and that was definitely one of our most favorite. Especially you get to walk around and talk to people and talk about your beer and meet all the other brewers and breweries and just, you know, get back together and talk shit to each other, you know.
All right, question for you about social lubricants, right? So more and more other social lubricants have started coming out of the market, marijuana, things like that, right? Has there been, what's that? Yeah. Can you say that? Yeah, actually, it's a term I picked up at Brewbound, this big like beer like industry convention. So anyway, but do you think that's impacted craft beer in any way, or do you feel like people who do that stuff, and people who do craft beer do craft beer?
I think so. I don't think we've seen a big difference, and it's, you know, it's like before everything was legalized, people still did what they wanted to do, and so.
Yeah, I think if anything, there's talk about collaboration, you know, between a marijuana outfit and THC and in beer and all that stuff. And so, you know, even though we can't do a THC infused beer and sell it through the tap room, we could sell beer and they can infuse THC. So I think in the future you'll see more and more of that, but it's more collaborative than anything affecting our business.
Could you add CBD, not the THC, but could you add that to a beer if you wanted to, or have you ever done that?
Yeah, so it has to be an NA beer, and you can add CBD to it. And so we did serve that up about a year ago. I was kind of experimenting with that, put it out into the tap room just to see the response and stuff. And it was fun. It was interesting.
We talked a lot about, you know, supporting craft beer. What else can people do?
We've got options for everybody. If you're comfortable, come to the patio and enjoy, you know, a beverage on draft. We also have to-go sales.
I think the nice thing about doing to-go stuff is it's non-traditional beer that's not packaged, so you have to come over here if you want to get that Zeus Imperial Stout or a Flagstaff Amber or Boomer Brown. But I would say really the big support is, you know, it's supporting us and the other breweries through liquor stores and grocery stores and stuff like that. You know, maybe don't buy that vodka bottle. Go ahead and buy a Wreak Havoc.
I like that. Or the story I tell is like, if you want these places to be around, when you go to the liquor store, just make sure it's in Colorado. It's a Colorado brewery, right? And not a huge one. We have a couple huge ones, right? Let's support the local guys. And as long as you're doing that, in my mind, that's the little thing you can do every time you go buy beer. That's going to help out everyone in the community.
Yeah, you got it. Absolutely.
Awesome. And then shirts and hats and all that stuff is always good.
Yeah, and we're renting out rooms at the brewery too if you want to spend a night. We got a special deal going on.
Airbnb brewery. I love it.
Brewery.
Dude, I could be talked into that. As long as the taps are still on, I'm down for that.
Yeah.
Last thing, when people, you know, things go back to normal, they are able to come in and really enjoy the full experience. When people leave Bootstrap, what do you want them to be thinking or take with them?
I just envision that day when they say, okay, everything's open. We're going to have the bands playing. We're going to have the food trucks. Everybody's going to be hugging each other.
Yeah, an open mic.
Yeah.
And, you know, all the things that we just have severely missed this whole year.
Yeah, it's just going to be a big party. Everybody, and you know, it's all the pent up frustration and for how much longer do we have to wear the masks? And I'm sure for a while, but man, I just can't wait till that's all done with. And instead of me looking at you 6 feet away and saying, how are you doing? Come over and, you know,
give
just a big ass hug. Not just a big hug, big ass hug.
Yeah, I love it. And when you do that, I will bring my axe up and I will shred for you guys.
Yes.
That'll happen.
Yes.
That'll be a ton of fun. We'll get through this, right? One way or the other, and we do it together.
There's light at the end of the tunnel. And, you know, for everybody else, in the meantime, hang in there, be safe, be healthy, you know, put a bunch of beer in your fridge, just enjoy life at this point. We're all in it together. You're not unique. We're all in it together.
All right, so we sign off. We're going to put our hands in, and we're going to say Beer Fight Club on 3. 1, 2, 3. Beer Fight Club! Hey, thank you guys so much. Enjoy your weekend, and we'll see you soon, okay?
All right. It's always great to see you, brother. Be good.
You too.
Yeah.
Bye. So I just heard from Steve and Leslie at Bootstrap. Those guys are awesome. This Wreak Havoc that you're about to try, or maybe you're already enjoying, 8.5. So it's a hearty beer. This is a hop bomb that just gets you a true Imperial Red. It won a ton of awards. It's a great beer. Wreak Havoc. Woo! I like this beer. I really like this beer.
It kind of starts off tasting like orange to me. I really like it. It's drinkable though. Like it doesn't, like you could have this and be okay. It
is drinkable, which is can be a bad thing too. Something to keep in mind. You can drink, a lot of it, and then before you know it, it's too late. But this thing definitely goes down easy.
Brilliant. Good job, Bootstrap. Thank you.
Yes, well done. Well done.
Well, if you're doing this right, then I'm a little funnier now than when this whole thing started, which is fantastic. Crack open the Jagged Mountain Grouse Mountain Goza and meet one of my favorite people in the craft beer game. And before you ask, yes, he's always this happy. This is Chad from Jagged Mountain. Again, Adam here with Beer Fight Club. I am joined by Chad with Jagged Mountain, and I'm representing today.
Nice.
I got this on my 40th birthday at your brewery.
I love it.
Yeah.
You don't stay over 40.
Yeah, I am just a little over 40, a lot over 40, but I appreciate that, man. Well, dude, how are you doing, man?
Doing good. The round 2 of shutdowns is a little weird, but we're surviving, and we just canned a bunch of stuff, as you can see back here. We canned up 5 new beers today, so we're just trying to keep up with it and do what we can to move some beer. But otherwise, things are good. My spirits are high, so I guess that helps.
Yeah, your spirits are always high, though, man.
That's true.
In the middle of the apocalypse, and we'll find Chad smiling.
That's right. It's hard to be mad with beer in your hand all the time, so.
So
yeah.
Can you have anybody at your place, your patio open, anything right now?
Yeah, the patio's open, but you've been to our spot before. I mean, we have a small little patio on Lawrence Street. So right now we only have 3 tables that we can really seat people at, and then we're doing to go for the most part. So
is the community coming out for you guys? You getting people come in, get trowelers and cans and stuff to go?
They are, yeah, and a lot of people are definitely, they're venturing downtown. We're coming down to support, which is awesome. Craft Alley and Beer Drop have both been really good to us too, and they're helping us kind of distribute our beer in cans a little bit more across the nation than we're able to, which is huge.
I want to take you back before we get into your beer. You were part of the first ever Beer Fight Club event.
I was.
At Larimer Beer Hall.
Yeah.
And, I loved it. I was talking to you about it. I'm like, well, how are we going to get the beer there? And you're like, I'll just wheel it over. It's literally around the corner.
Yeah.
What do you recall from that event, man? Do you have any fun moments that you kind of think back on every now and again?
Yeah, I remember having a really good time with the River North boys. I think they actually won, if I remember correctly, with their IPA. But all in all, that was a really fun time. I wasn't quite sure what to think going into it and how it was going to work. The whole kind of laddered competition style. But when it came down to it, it was really cool, and people were having a lot of fun. Voting. I think you guys had online voting. It gave us a chance to just interact a little bit more than we normally get to do at a beer festival.
For me, Beer Fight Club is great. It's fun. People who go there have fun. They get to interact. But honestly, I just want the brewers who come and the people representing the breweries to come and have a blast themselves, because you don't always get to have that. So hopefully we hit that mark. And you brought up Stout Wars. Have you guys ever done that again?
Yeah, we've done a couple of different Stout Wars since, and kind of a background for anybody who doesn't know, but the Stout Wars concept was a way to get our employees more involved in the actual brewing process. So what we would do is we would brew a base beer stout on our pilot system, and then we split that out into 5-gallon kegs and let the employees go to town on it. So whatever flavor combo they could think of, we would blend it all together with them, which was super fun. So, and it was the first to kick wins. So it was a competition of who can drink the fastest, basically.
I loved it. And after this whole COVID thing, I hope you do another one soon, and I will definitely come out and give you my opinion anyway.
The staff loves them, and I love doing all the blends, so it's a really good time.
All right, well, let's talk about the Blood Orange Goza. That's the beer that is in the Beer Fest pack. If you're at home, now's a great time to crack that open and pour a little bit in 3 or 4 cups for your buddies. What kind of thing, well, A, is there any history with this beer? And then what should people be seeing, smelling, tasting in this Goza?
Yeah. So yeah, the Goza style itself is pretty historical. It's one of the oldest styles known to be brewed, really. And a lot of it was spontaneously fermented back in the day because they didn't really necessarily know what the sour cultures were. So a lot of it was spontaneous. Now we're a little bit more dialed in. You know, we can order a pitch of lacto, and we know exactly the stats on it, the details. We know what's the outcome of it is gonna be. So this one we actually sour with yogurt. So we use Greek yogurt to sour it, which I like a lot. I personally like that more than the standard lactose strain, just because gives it kind of some more depth to it. Has a little, I think it's got a little bit more of a complex sour, not just a very like lemon tart in your face sour. It's got a bunch of stuff going on, which is really fun. That's kind of the backbone of it. We do put a little bit of coriander in there, just kind of help give it a little bit of spice in the background. We let it ferment out, so it's nice and clean. A little bit sour, obviously, but it's got all the off flavors out of it. All the fermentation has gone through its process, and then we dump a ton of blood orange on top of it and a bunch of salt. So we use Himalayan pink sea salt and then blood orange on top of that. So it's the first thing you're going to get is blood orange. I mean, it is, or orange in general. It doesn't have to be blood orange. It is citrus forward. A little bit of that salty mineral content kind of lingers in the background on the nose. And then as soon as you start to drink it, the salt comes forward, which sometimes doesn't sound like it's going to work too well in a beer. But when you pack it full of that sour, not only sour, but you pack it full of a bunch of citrus too, that salt really helps balance things out. The coriander is pretty subtle, but you're going to get it a little bit. But overall, it's kind of a little bit of a tart orange juice with a lot more exciting things going on in the background than you're thinking.
So I like the beer as well. I've had it a few times, and it's a crushable sour. I mean, if you wanted to, you could sit there and drink it pretty quickly. And it's not like your face is puckering up or anything like that. And the blood orange and the salt, I agree, totally level it out. We talked about your brewery a little bit, and there's this big mountain theme there. What's behind that?
You know, the whole concept of our brewery started on a climbing trip. 2 owners were climbing and decided that they wanted to finally open a brewery. They've been talking about it for years. And so they started the process, and they were trying to think of names on that trip of a brewery, and Jagged Mountain came up just shy of 13, if I remember correctly, in the Wamanuchi range, which is down kind of San Juan area of Colorado, so southwest corner. It's one of the fewest traveled Class 5, so it's a Class 5 climb. So you're roped in, you got a helmet, you're full blown to get to the summit of it. About 12 miles in, the route's pretty unmarked, so you're kind of on your own. It's a lot of trail navigating and mapping on your own to get out there. But once you do, it's a pretty spectacular mountain.
Okay, so we'll do a COVID related, and we've talked a little bit about it, but you guys have gone to canning a lot and stuff like that. What happens if this doesn't change for 6 months? I mean, what do you think the craft beer landscape is going to look like in 6 months if we can't get past this?
It'll be drastically different. I mean, it's already affecting, as you've seen. I mean, recently there's been a handful of breweries that have shut down, and it's not the last of it, unfortunately. The hardest part about it is to see all your friends having to close business when they didn't really want to, but they're forced into it, which is a disappointment on a lot of levels. But you feel for them, and thankfully Jagged Mountain's in a good place. We just passed our 7-year mark. We've been, exceeding a lot of our goals, but it's tough. I mean, we've been in the game for 7 years, so we have a little bit of that. There's some breweries that have just opened up in the past year or two, or even less than that are going through those first year woes and trying to get things figured out and trying to figure out a way to make money and make it quick. And it's tough, and I feel for them because those first couple of years are just tough regardless as a business. And now you're facing the COVID restrictions and just everything that's happened with that. But, thankfully, I do feel like the customer support has been amped up a lot, and people are out there buying beer from places they normally don't go to. and which really makes a difference. And I've been working behind the bar majority of the 2 shutdowns so far for us, and it's been big, and it's been really exciting to just see people come in that I've never seen before in my brewery, and not only that, but asking where they can go next that they hadn't been before. So that's really cool, because you can see that people are really trying to support the best they can, because it's tough, you know, and hopefully people still need to drink beer. So we're the business of making it. As long as we can keep selling it, we'll be all right.
I'll tell you what, during the first shutdown, right, where everyone was just in their house, like scared they were going to walk out and die, right? We went to maybe 5 breweries that day, and we bought crowlers, and then we went and dropped them off on our friends' porches, rang their doorbell, and ran off. And it was cool because then they reciprocated, right? They went to their favorite brewery and brought me some, and we've kind of been doing that throughout now, and that might be on the plate again for this weekend. So yeah, it's people can still go there. I think that's something people don't know. Like, can they still go there? They can buy beer, just can't always sit down and enjoy it.
Yeah, and at this point, every brewery is, I wouldn't say every, but I would say about 90% of the breweries are open in some way, shape, or form to getting their beer into your hands.
Yeah.
Whether it's a curbside, or whether it's delivery, or you can come in and pick up beer. Everybody's got bills to pay, and everybody's trying to make it to 2021 or 2022 at least. So there's a lot of people getting creative on how they're getting their beer out there. So yeah, for all the craft beer fans, which is 100% of the people watching this video right now, go buy beer. It is more important than ever to go support your local brewer. And it's one crowler, it's one T-shirt, it's a gift card. It doesn't matter. Everybody needs it right now.
Question for you specifically: is there a Colorado brewery, not yours, that you go, this is like my sleeper brewery? Not a lot of people know about it. I love it, and people should go there.
I don't know if nobody knows about it, but Bear is one of my favorites.
On Broadway.
Yeah. Matt is an incredible brewer. Ryan is fantastic. The whole team over there is awesome. And I literally have never had a bad beer. Yeah, they're tiny. They're the strip mall brewery is what they call themselves.
I was apprehensive the first time. You walk in, it is in a strip mall, and you're like, what is this going to be like, right? And am I going to be drinking CB Potts beer here for the next hour or whatever, right? And no, dude, it's super crafted, super on point. They're creative, super fun people as well. But what do you love about craft beer?
Honestly, the community. I think that, I've worked in a lot of fun industries. I spent a lot of time in the ski and snowboard industry, and I spent a lot of time in the biking industry. And all of it is really fun, but there is something about the people that make craft beer. That's I think is the biggest part, is just the community.
If you were going to open a restaurant, you would go talk to the restaurant next door and say, man, could you help us open? Like, we have questions, we don't know where to go for answers. They would laugh you out of the door. They would not help you. Craft beer is exactly opposite, which is, I'm opening a brewery, I don't really know how to do it. You'll get 10 people that will volunteer to come and actually help you set up your brewery, answer questions. And that sense of community is rare.
Yeah, it happens all the time. We get questions a lot because Great Divide's 2 blocks from us. Something breaks or a seal blows on a pump. We know that we can call them, and they might be the big dogs, but they're going to help us out.
All right. I know you've brewed some strange beers there. What in your mind is the strangest beer you guys have ever brewed at Jagged Mountain?
It used to be called Waffle Stomp, and now it's called Breakfast in Belgium. But it's a Belgian barley wine that we brewed with 100 pounds of real Belgian waffles from Waffle Brothers. We do 100 pounds of their waffles in there, and then add a little bit more maple syrup and vanilla, and it's liquid breakfast. It's so cool.
It's always good to talk to you, Chad. I got to get back out there sometime soon. For people who are here, we hope you guys enjoyed the Goza, obviously, but you guys have, 15 beers on tap generally? I mean, you have a huge tap line, right?
Anywhere from about 15 to 20 any given moment.
Yeah, and they're all delicious. The Sawatch I love. You guys always have a few rotators that are coming in and out, and some fun stuff too. So always a reason to go to Jagged Mountain. Thanks for being part of the Beer Fight Club family again, as always. And that's really all I got, man. I really appreciate your time.
Thanks, Adam. Yeah, I really appreciate it. I'm really looking forward to this event too. I'm excited you guys are hosting something. It's been a a quiet year for beer festivals. So this is something that at least we got to look forward to.
Chad at Jag Mountain is the man. They were one of the first breweries to ever support Beer Fight Club, so I will always include them in anything that we do. And they brew some great beer, including this Gyoza. Think tart, think sour apple, and then give it a sniff, and then a little sample.
Definitely hits you right in the taste buds. It's got a good tart flavor to it.
Feel it back here, right?
Yeah.
It is tart, but it's not like puckering. It's a nice flavor. It's a nice tartness. It's like a Jolly Rancher.
And do you get the blood orange? I know they use like 100 pounds of blood orange in this thing, but it's not overwhelming. Like sometimes you have a fruit beer and it'll be like, that's all you taste. You taste the tartness, you taste the beer, and then there's the blood orange. In my mind, this is a well-balanced beer.
Yeah, I'd agree. You get that initial tart, and just kind of over the top is just that kind of smooth blood orange flavor.
I think this would be an amazing brunch beer. So when they say, do you want orange juice? You're like, no, I prefer the blood orange Ghost, please.
That's a great call. Beer for breakfast? Sign me up. Okay, I want you to prepare yourself for this next one. This is one of the most hop-forward beers we have in this entire pack, and I just want you to be ready. Great time to take a sip of water and listen to Matt from River North talk to you about the Hopatronic Lupulocitor. Hey, the Beer Fest continues. We are here with Matt from River North. How you doing, Matt?
I'm wonderful. Yourself?
Dude, I'm doing great. It's just another lovely day here in Colorado. It's snow on the ground and 60 degrees.
Beautiful.
I think we'll start. So a little trivia about River North, and not everybody knows this, but you guys actually won the very first Beer Fight Club event. I had to go back and look, but yeah, the very first one, you guys took it home. There's probably a little plaque someplace hanging up in the brewery center.
We have a bunch of medals and awards, so I'm assuming it would be over there somewhere. Right when you walk into the Washington Street location, that's where we keep all of our medals that we've won over the years. So.
And I'm sure it's the most prestigious, so it's probably right when you walk in.
It would be. It would be.
Speaking of history, River North has some history with the Rhino District.
So River North started in 2012. Fortunately, unfortunately, our landlord sold our entire block, and he gave us 6 months to move the entire brewery. Now it's an apartment complex. 2015 when that happened. And at that time, we could not find a location that was well within our budget and the size that we needed. The unfortunate part is we ended up moving to Washington Street, 6021 Washington. The fortunate part is it's a much bigger location, huge spot. That's our production facility. We still have a tap room here. And then a year ago, July, so just a little bit over a year and a half ago, we moved back to Blake Street. So we're 10 blocks north of the original location at 3400 Blake Street. So we have two spots, Blake Street. We have a tap room there. We do have a brewery there. And that's, I consider that the fun factory. That's where the guys are going to make little one-offs and cool, unique things that we're just testing out in the tap room, see how they go, let the brewers flex their muscles and show the world what they can do instead of just brewing all of our core beers all the time. So
let's get to the beer, because that's what people want to do, is they want to drink the beer. First off, tell me a little bit about the series, and then the series we have for our beer fest, which my understanding is basically gone. So
yes.
If you're drinking it in the beer fest, it's basically the only way you can get it now. Go ahead and tell people what they should be seeing, tasting, smelling, all of that.
So this is Hopatronic Lupulocitor. So this series originated about 3 years ago, and we have another. So it's a New England Hazy Double IPA. This one clocks in at 8.5. It's about 36 IBUs. When we started this series, we actually had two beers. We still do the other beer. So we had Hopatronic Lupulocitor, and we did another beer called Fluxopacitor. It's a ever-changing hop series double hazy IPA.
I love it. It's a mouthful.
So we've done multiple variants of it. This one, however, is very cool because this is a Nelson Citra version. Real big juice bomb. A lot of juicy characteristics on the nose, and it drinks the same way. It's everything people would be looking for in a haze.
Yeah,
but
it's a great
delicious.
beer. I was stoked when you called me like, I've got this much left. If you want it, you got to come get it. It really kicked me into high gear, so probably a good thing. But it is delicious, and hopefully people are enjoying that responsibly, because you're right, it's a pretty big beer too.
It is. It's a pretty big beer, but it you wouldn't know it by drinking it.
So I think of River North, and there's a lot of breweries. There's a lot of good breweries. Colorado is full,
Of course,
right?
we're blessed here.
But then there's those breweries who just they don't brew anything half-assed. Everything they brew is fucking delicious. And River North for me is one of those. Like when we went in to pick up the beer, we're like, I saw some stuff. I'm like, we're gonna grab some. We're gonna get it and take it home. It's gonna be amazing. And sure enough, it was amazing. Do you guys have a beer philosophy, or why do you guys think you turn out such high quality beer in every style?
That's just something that we've always prided ourselves in, was super clean, easy drinking beers, even though some of our beers can be 15-16%. That's just one thing that we've never swayed away from, is we always wanted to make sure we're producing the best liquid possible. We have some of the best brewers in the industry, and that's what they keep churning out. I'm the sales director for the brewery, so I'm biased, obviously. I drink the Kool-Aid, but anytime I drink any of our beers, there's never off flavors. There's nothing weird going on with, on the back end. It doesn't have a weird front end nose.
So I just got a totally morbid thought. And if I was in Jonestown and I actually had to drink the Kool-Aid because it's mass suicide, yeah, I guess I'd like you guys to brew that, whatever. It's the last thing you're ever going to taste. Might as well be delicious.
Delicious beer, yes. Yes, I'd be down with that as well.
All right, that's pretty morbid. We'll move on to something more entertaining. So, I used to talk to Patrick Amnesty a lot, and, he was always such a huge proponent. I actually remember him correcting me in an interview once, and I talked about, Colorado craft. He's like, I think you're looking for Colorado independent craft brewers, right? He was very stern on that. And so your fight against the big brewers is always kind of there. Mm-hmm. Why should people care about the plight of independent craft brewers?
Take a look back. I mean, I'm old. So when I started, there wasn't a lot of craft breweries around. And the ones that were making okay beer. It wasn't, you could, find a large craft brewery that was making something better than your, local tap house or, brewery would be. And you look at a global scale too, America wasn't even on the board as far as being a legitimate beer contender. Fast forward to today, the amount of breweries has blown up. The quality of the product has blown up. People around the world are looking to American brewers to find out what they're doing and how they're making these beers. On the flip side, there's a lot of money now. When I started this, it wasn't as prominent to see you go into a bar and they have 30 handles and 28 of them are craft. So now there's a big money proponent there, and people are getting into the game that don't know anything about it, but they just see the dollar value. So independent craft is even more important today than it ever was, because some of the craft breweries are getting bought up by, doesn't even have to be the big boy breweries. It could just be people with a bunch of money that think, oh, it'd be cool to own a brewery. And they don't know anything about it, and they can end up owning, 3 or 4 different breweries, and you wouldn't even know. Unless you're 100% into the game and you're reading all this stuff all the time, you wouldn't even know. So you have to be, I would implore everybody to do their research and look to see where they're drinking their beer and where it's coming from. And you can find all that stuff online.
Well, that's a great point. I remember walking into a place and I was with a buddy who doesn't know craft beer that much. Like, he knows some places, right? And we walk in and he goes, man, look at all this great craft beer. And I look and I was like, it's almost all InBev. Like, everything they have here is just part of a distribution scheme to give you the illusion of choice.
Correct.
There's no choices here, right?
No, it's all by one house. And that's the thing. A lot of people don't know that.
The other piece of that is, you know, that scenario. So it's a good brewery, right? They get purchased by a bigger brewery. The first thing that happens is they go, okay, where can we shave off costs? Because, you know, I used to have a buddy that worked at the big place in Golden, and they had this big number on the board. And it was like, it's always got to be green. If it's red, you're in trouble, right? And the number was like, the number was like 3 cents, meaning that if it dropped below 3 cents, like a barrel to brew, there was a problem, right? So that's the degree they're trying to shave margins. And with that, quality is lost, craftsmanship is lost, all that stuff, right? That makes beer, for me, exciting and fun. So I love your fight. I'll always continue to support that. You know that. Get into something a little bit more fun here. Okay, so this is a personal question for you. Is there a brewery that has a special place in your heart and people should go visit if they haven't?
There's Evergreen Brewery, and they're super duper small. They just got a new head brewer. She's kicking butt. Definitely, if you're up in Evergreen area, go take a look at those guys, because they're making some exceptional quality beer. And I don't think a lot of people know that there's actually 3 breweries in Evergreen right now.
Well, speaking of that, how are you guys doing through all this stuff, right? You got the 2 locations going. Are you guys keeping up? The distribution, I assume, is helping quite a bit.
Yeah, absolutely. Beginning of COVID, it was a little weird. One thing that really benefited us, which I don't know if a lot of everybody knows this, but we do a lot of barrel-aged beers, and we usually have a cellar sale. So we typically hold back a few cases of our high gravity stuff. Well, when COVID first hit, our marketing social media events manager came up with a really cool idea, and it was one of everything. The first box had an anniversary 1. The second box had an anniversary 2.
Wow.
So, I mean, there was a lot of like really unique, cool things that we were doing. It definitely was not inexpensive.
People are just sitting around their house drinking anyway. You might as well just drink really good stuff. Well, awesome. Well, when things get back to normal, people will start coming back out. And when people visit either River North location, what do you want them to leave thinking?
I hope everybody understands that we're making some of the best liquid in the state. And that's what I want people to walk away going, wow, these guys actually, you know, they might not be the hype train brewery, but these guys are really making killer beer, and I want to come back and try it, or pick up some 6-packs of Hopatronic or barrel aged beer, you know, things like that. You know,
that's awesome. And you guys are great people too. Everyone I've ever met, River North.
Thank you.
Awesome person. They support not only themselves, but other independent Colorado craft brewers, and just the whole fight of the thing I love, right? Like, it's us versus them. We're going to succeed. Well, I'll tell you what, I really appreciate what you guys do. I appreciate you hooking me up and the Beer Fight Club Beer Fest with the Hoptronic. It's delicious. Hopefully people are enjoying it right now, and not planning on driving anywhere because there's a ton of good beer in this Beer Fest. And it's going to be funny because they're watching the video and I change shirts every 5 minutes because it's just a different video, right? But yeah, no, you guys are awesome. If there's anything else we can do for you, please let me know. And in the meantime, we'll catch you soon. All right, buddy?
Definitely.
All right. So if there was ever a brewery in town that is kind of like this to the man being big beer, it's River North. I love their fight that is basically independent Colorado craft breweries above everything else, and why it's so important to support them right now. This beer, try this, and then you'll know why it's important, because if you don't, you're not going to get things like this anymore. This is an outstanding IPA. This is part of their Hoptronic series. Great color, super clear. You can smell the bitterness off this thing. Give it a taste.
This is so good. Correct me if I'm wrong, but you can't get this right now, can you?
if you're drinking it tonight, it's probably the last time you'll ever have this particular iteration of the beer. You're exactly right. It's special.
This has the mouthfeel. It's got the sport. I mean, it's 8%, so it's going to be big. But it's hop forward, but not hop overpowering. It's just a well-crafted beer.
It's an event beer with the ABV and with as limited as it is. The clarity is perfect, really. It does have those hops there, but it's smooth. It kind of starts getting to the point where, you know, the hops might take over and then it just kind of disappears. It gets replaced by something else.
Pretty special treat. This one is particularly delicious. I think it smells kind of like lemon peel, like not sour lemon, but it's lemony to me. I really liked this.
Do you?
I do.
Dude, you have advanced taste buds. If I would have been given a beer like this in the middle of my Rolling Rock days, I would have looked at you like you were crazy. Anybody know the story of IPA? What does IPA really mean?
It's India Pale Ale. The beers that they needed to transport to the British soldiers in India during their occupation, they needed a way to preserve those beers, and hops were a natural preservative. So they would throw those on the barrel for the voyage over, and lo and behold, something amazing happened, and it created a really hoppy, bitter beer, which we all love today.
Yeah, there are more versions of IPA brewed in America than any other beer style, and it's like 7-1. Just to give you an idea how popular the style is, breweries are always trying to come up with a new iteration, something new. There's so much you can do with just 4 simple ingredients, which is amazing, and hops are obviously the biggest part of those. So, well, we're here where it all started. I want to thank my buddy Patrick from Beer Venture. I just talked to him. He brought up this idea. It's his idea. I came out here to grab a delicious craft beer from my fridge. I thought to myself, I'm going to throw a message out to the Beer Fight Club community, see what you guys think. You guys responded, told me to do this. I went through the labor. It was a labor of love. I hope you had a great time. We have reached our final beer in the virtual beer fest, and it's time to do a self-assessment. I want you to follow along and answer these questions. Is your speech impaired? Are you experiencing dizziness? Are you lying face down with one eye cracked just so you can say you're still awake? Are you literally unconscious? Seriously, if you're headed in a bad place, do not crack this open, because this could take you to spinny puke town, and nobody wants that. It is 32 ounces of double IPA. It's going to be about 9%, 20 different hops, and you should be in a good place to experience this beer. Oh, and I forgot to mention, there's an introduction with a song and a video produced by yours truly, performed by yours truly. It's supposed to be funny, so I hope you like it. All the words are different hops that we used in the beer. All right, so we are here at Downhill Brewing. I'm with Doug, head brewer, part owner of Downhill Brewing. Thanks first off for being a part of this event, man. We're really excited to have you guys in the Beer Fest, the virtual Beer Fest, first one ever. Are you excited about this thing?
Absolutely, yeah. It's been a crazy year, and so anyway, we can kind of keep reaching out and yeah, keep people I don't know, drinking and having a good time. Yeah, we're all about that. So it's a lot of fun. We're excited to be a part. So
great. So let's talk about that. COVID, obviously, no one's prepared for this thing. I know you guys have done some drastic things for just your community, just to continue to serve them. What kind of things are you doing at Downhill?
Man, early on it was the figuring out how we were going to do takeout. And luckily we had great community support then, and people doing deliveries and stuff. Jake, my partner, did a great job of creating doctor delivery and getting the word out that we were doing delivery, and yeah, our staff really was able to adjust and adapt well. And then when we were able to reopen, we were one of the first places that got the green light to reopen, and so it was kind of a mad dash to get tables back in, get that all figured out, and then now kind of the third time we're figuring out how we're going to do outdoor. And for us, we're lucky that we kind of did get our patio revamped. It's very cool right now. We've got a big fire pit. We've got a bunch of propane heaters. And yeah, just figuring out a way that we can get people back here and still drinking. And luckily in Colorado, most people are pretty prepared with some warmer clothes. So that combined with the south-facing patio, we're pretty lucky. And yeah, we're able to keep chugging along with some great support from our community.
That's awesome. How important has that community been? Have they been coming out and buying beer and getting to go and delivery?
So important. I mean, it's just been such a rough year all around, and that goes for everybody. It's not just for us. It's yeah, everybody's been kind of struggling. So yeah, we've just been very lucky that we have people that really are helping us carry us through the pandemic, and yeah, I mean, just to-go beers or deliveries, and yeah, braving the winter weather now. It's been pretty impressive. So
that's awesome.
That's
awesome. We talked a little bit about this, about the impact of the pandemic and the shutdown and restrictions on other breweries. You guys are fortunate. You have some great support, and the fact that you sell food here helps you, I'm sure. We know we're losing breweries this year. It's going to happen. What's going to happen if this stays the same way for the next 6 months?
It's going to be really, really tough. I think we can certainly endure a while longer. I don't know. I mean, I think a lot of it is on the brewery owners themselves to kind of adapt and maneuver. But it is a tall ask without funding and support. I mean, just to keep your people employed. It's been tough for us. We've been very lucky that we've been able to do that, and a lot of that is that we've got the great community, but yeah, it's a challenge, and it keeps you up at night. It's pretty stressful. Yeah, if it continues on a lot longer, then it's just the number's going to continue to dwindle. The stronger brewers will always keep fighting and keep going through, but it's been a tall order, that's for sure.
Yeah, it's fair. No one likes to see that. Well, let's get into a more fun subject. We just finished, well, we're in the middle of brewing this 20 hop monster. We're still working on a name. Any favorite names?
I mean, I like all the names we kind of came up with. 20 Hoptagon or 20 Fistagon or 20 Eyes. I think we got some good ideas down, and a couple more beers, we'll probably be able to land on something pretty epic. So
I love that.
Yeah.
So what can people expect from this crowler from Downhill?
It's going to be hoppy, that's for sure. We're going to be tipping the scales probably around 8 or 9%. We'll just see how much the Cal Ale eats down. We're going to ferment it around 66.6. Yeah, usually we get down to 1.5 Plato there. In the previous double IPAs have been around that 8-9 range. But yeah, we did a bittering edition of Chinook, followed that with Magnum, so you're gonna get that nice clean bitter there. And then we also got some flavoring hops in there. We went with Columbus, or CTZ, and Centennial and Sriracha Ace, so that'll give kind of a nice bitter bouquet there. And then, I would go on and name all the other hops we're using the Whirlpool, but you're going to need to look that up because we'd be here all day.
Yeah.
So, but it's going to be a nice, big bitter, boozy double IPA. It's going to keep you nice and warm for January for sure.
That's awesome. And I love that we went to Brew Hut, we picked up a bunch of hops for this. We tried to stay away from every single trendy hop out there and kind of put some ones that we've never had before. So I'm excited to taste this thing as well.
Absolutely.
The only place for people to get this is going to be at this beer fest. And then after the beer fest, whatever's left, you guys are going to sell at your tap room. That's it, right?
Yep, that's it.
Awesome. I love it. All right, let's talk about some fun stuff. What's the best, what's the worst beer you've ever had?
The worst beer I've ever had? Man, that's tough. You don't want to certainly don't want to single out. You can single out the big guys though. I think Corona is a pretty terrible beer.
Fair enough.
If you get a Corona that's been sitting in the sun for a little while,
Skunky.
Yeah. So,
all right. What's the best local beer you've ever had, not from down there?
Man, that's I can't single it down to a couple, but I'll give some big shout outs to Comrade. Superpower's obviously amazing, and then. Man, the Raz Against the Machine at Little Machine is, I'm a big sour head too, so that one is pretty amazing.
So I didn't like sours, and then I think it was 4 years ago at the GABF, I had a plan. I went in with a plan, I'm going to taste all the IPAs, all the good IPAs, and about a half an hour into this, my palate was destroyed. And I went sour. I went and got a sour, and it really does reset the palate.
Yeah.
So I have a new appreciation for them for that exact reason.
Yeah, it's definitely acquired taste for some. It took me a while. The first sour I ever got was a bottle of Lawfully from New Belgium.
All right.
And I bought this really expensive bottle. It was gorgeous. It was back when they were still doing the champagne corks, and I brought it home, sat it in the fridge for a while, didn't think about it, opened it up, and I was like, oh, this beer has gone bad. And I just didn't know enough about beer at that time, or certainly the style. It was amazing. And I couldn't really figure out if I liked it or what was going on. But it definitely was an interesting introduction into the sour beers. But I can't get enough of them now.
I think I have the same story about that same beer. I'll leave it.
Yeah.
All right. So what's the craziest thing that's ever happened in your brewery?
Oh man. I don't know. It's probably. What's the craziest thing that's happened? It's got to be at some point late night after an employee outing, all the lights except for the disco ball on, and I'm not gonna get into the details because I'm not gonna incriminate anybody, but we've had good times.
Fair enough.
For sure.
Has anyone been conceived inside the brewery?
Not that I'm aware of. We've had a lot of little ones come in though. We've had kids that are 2 days old, their parents mom hasn't been drinking for a while and has just been missing beer, and they make us one of their first stops, which is very cool. But we've had a couple day-old kids in here, and it's been pretty fun. But as far as conceived, I would not know.
Fair.
So not by me.
When people come to your brewery for the first time and they leave, what do you want them to leave thinking?
Experience, that they've had an amazing experience, because as business owners, Jake and I, we want it to be the whole thing. We want it to be service, the atmosphere, the beer, the pizza. We want that all to be top notch. For people to say, man, that was a great experience, and tell their friends about it. It's amazing that even being in Parker, which is growing, there's still a lot of people that don't even know we're here. Get the word of mouth out there and bring friends in here, because this year's been tough with that. We've all had to stay away from each other, but what beer and what we're trying to bring is community, and that's what we miss so much right now. But hopefully we can get back to that soon. But so
that's great. Well, I'll tell you what, you spent a lot of time with me today. I'm going to wrap it up there. Thank you again so much for supporting Beer Fight Club and being a part of this beer fest. And I hope we sell a shit ton of this beer for you guys.
It'll be a shame if we don't, because it's going to be amazing. So, cheers.
Brilliant. Thanks.
All right.
All right, so I'm sporting the downhill hat, and there's a reason, because we've come to the Crowler. And however you're doing, maybe you're going to save this for later, but we wanted to give it a taste. This is a version of what you're tasting. Again, this is a double IPA. It's called Bad Motorfinger. this is kind of the base for what we use to brew our 20-sided Fisticon, except we threw 20 different types of hops in there. This beer, I thought just the base was great, and I asked, let's use this, let's do something hop forward on it, make it a little crazy. So I don't know what you're tasting. It's probably this, but just more unique and special. So this is the 20-sided Fisticon from Downhill Brewing.
This is a very different IPA profile than the other ones. It's a lot greener. I taste grass, like just green vegetables. I get bell pepper on here. I like how fresh it is. It's like a salad beer, if I could say that.
I agree. I disagree.
Yeah, everyone does. Everyone disagrees with that.
What do you taste, Lauren?
I don't think I taste
You don't
sour.
get cucumber?
I do.
So for me, I get the maltiness first, right? Just the backbone of the beer is a maltier IPA, West Coast all the way for sure. And then there's that huge bitterness. There is something there, and it's I will give you piney, right? You're talking salad, I will say piney. And that's probably a base of Chinook or something of that nature early on. But I think it's a great beer if you like double IPAs that are a little malty. And
Adam, you don't have a pine needle salad?
no. Yeah, I call shenanigans on the salad comment. That's shenanigans. Do I have a second on shenanigans? If so, we get to trash this place.
No.
That's the way it works. If you declare shenanigans, and then you get a second, wherever you are, you just take whatever you want and destroy it. That's the way shenanigans works.
I think it's a lighter IPA. It's got that little refreshing component to it. Anything that is called bad motor finger, if you're of a certain age, you like that.
That's our tasting panel. I hope you guys had as much fun as we did. We're going to hang out and enjoy some more beer, and hopefully you're doing the same.
Happy New Year!
Okay, themes from tonight. Support local. Only you can keep these guys alive, and the only way you can do it is by going out and purchasing their amazing craft beer. And it's not just beer, is it? It's restaurants, it's shops, it's hobby, craft stores, whatever it might be. This is our time to help them out, because they're always there for us. How many times have you gone into one of your local restaurants, businesses, whatever it might be, and they're supporting a charity or a local community action? Whatever it might be, now is our time. They need our help. Get out there and support these guys. These places are special. They are our community. They're our neighbors, and they need our help. Speaking of special, how cool is it for Insomniac Drive to allow us to debut their song and be a part of this beer fest? Thank you guys. I wish you the best of luck, and I can't wait to see you live. Thanks to everyone who bought a ticket. This is my first movie show production. I don't know what you would call this thing, but it was a ton of work and a lot of time and effort went into this. I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope right now you're totally sloppy, and it's going to seem even better. If you see me on the street or in a brewery, come say hello. I'd love to meet you guys, and thank you again for getting your ticket and supporting craft beer. Big thanks to my tasting panel. Huge production. They came out at a tough time. They made time to be a part of this. Steve, you were a huge help, obviously, in the video and everything else. A big shout out to Brian from 816 Brewing. Hope you guys can get back to doing your thing. Also, Lauren and Jen, thanks for sharing your time and your insights into craft beer. I could not have done this without the cooperation of all the breweries. They're super busy. Even with all this, they're always changing. They're always pivoting into a new way to serve you guys amazing craft beer. And they took time to help support this event with videos, getting me the beer, distributing it, all of that stuff. So huge shout out to everyone involved. Downhill, Bootstrap, Jagged Mountain, Hulla Daily, Woods Boss, River North, Resolute, Odyssey, Locavore. You guys are the best. Go and visit these guys, keep them in business, keep drinking delicious Colorado craft beer. Lastly, and most of all, I want to thank each one of you for being a part of this event. This doesn't happen if you guys don't buy tickets. You're all now part of the Beer Fight Club family. I hope soon we can get out to a true Beer Fight Club event, which is a total shit show competition. I host it. I bring 8 amazing breweries. They battle it out in a bracket style challenge, and we all get sloppy talking about it. I can't wait to see you guys there. Happy New Year. Follow us on Facebook so you see when we're back out there and do that. Now go watch the ball drop and get totally hammered. Thank you.